to file claims against Mr. Cook and Mr. Casas for malicious prosecution, and that's case number 147794. Item 2, City Council authorized City Attorney to file action against Craig Tuttle for harassment. The vote was 5-0. Item number 3, City Council voted 3-2 to dismiss the Community Development Director without cause. So that is the only thing I have to report at this point. I'll go ahead and move for adjournment of the study session. That's my motion.
Second.
Yes, thank you, Community Development. There's a second by Vice Mayor Garcia. Any objections? Seeing none, so move. All righty. Yeah, so at this point, I'd like to open up the Baldwin Park City Council regular meeting. Today is February the 17th, 2016. The time is 7:10. So at this point, I will ask Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco to lead us in an invocation, followed by the flag salute. All right, thank you.
Heavenly Father, could all stand, please, and bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for the wonderful gifts you've given us here in this country, for the freedom that we have. Bless those men and women that are putting their lives on the line and in danger and in harm's way. Watch over our firefighters, our police officers, all those that keep us out of danger. And give the council the governance of this country, of this community, of the state, and the local government the wisdom to make the right decisions for our community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. At this point, we're going to face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to first of all say good evening to everyone. I have a couple of individuals that I want to close on their behalf. The first one is Carlos Garcia, age 24, is a graduate from Baldwin Park High School, who was a participant in the band for many, many years. He died in a tragedy death about a week and a half ago. So I attended the services. A lot of people, a lot of his former students from Baldwin Park High School were present at this particular funeral services. Also want to close on behalf of, let me just get it, Mrs. Socorro, also known as Coco Ayala, passed away peacefully at home on Thursday, February the 11th, at the age of 84 years old. She was surrounded by her children and those who love her. Ms. Ayala was born in Nicaragua, Central America, and was a 52-year resident of the city of Baldwin Park. She was preceded in death by her husband, Louis Ayala. Ms. Ayala is survived by her children, Jackie, Joe, Joanne, and Jean Ayala, her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, numerous nieces, nephews, and countless family and friends. Ms. Ayala services will be next week at St. John's, and I believe that is Wednesday the 24th at 7:30 p.m., and that Thursday Mass at 10 a.m. So our deepest condolences. Also a very good friend of mine's mother by the name of Celia Ortiz, who passed away at age 89. So our condolences goes out to this particular family as well. Council members wishing to close on anyone's behalf?
Yes.
Yes. Council member, Cruz.
For Ernie Gutierrez, who was the former mayor of El Monte,
yes.
That was very active. He passed away a couple weeks ago. Very, very active in helping Latinos get into as elected officials. He was son of migrant workers that had grown up in Hicks Camp, and if any of you are familiar with the Hicks area of El Monte, it is probably below poverty, and he rose above it, and he passed away.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that.
Condolences to the family.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I had an opportunity to be there and to speak there at the funeral as well. It was very well attended, and yes, I mean, he was a person that championed the first American and Mexican descent museum and Chicano at heart, and want to thank him and his family as well. And our deepest condolences goes out. We could send a letter over to City Hall. All right, thank you. At this point, anyone else?
Mayor,
yes.
I'd like to close on behalf of Lawrence Phillips, a former classmate, somebody from our community.
That's right.
Also extend our condolences to his family here in the city, in our community, as well as the different states. And we celebrated his life, when he was very young, and definitely want to extend our condolences in his death. Thank you.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know, Lawrence Phillips was a pro ball player that unfortunately ended up getting into trouble. However, he was a star athlete, rose from coming from a home and playing pro ball. And condolences go out to all his classmates, his coaches, and everyone that was at his funeral. It was really nice. Thank you.
Further interest at this point, we'll go over to Madam City Treasurer Maria Contreras will lead us in an invocation.
No, we already had it.
Excuse me. Sorry about roll call.
I'll just say amen.
All right. Hey.
Amen.
Housing Authority.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Councilmember Susan Rubio. Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco. Councilmember Cruz Baca.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Monica Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Manuel Lozano.
Present. Thank you very much, Maria Contreras. At this point, I want to also remind everyone we're opening up the Baldwin Park City Council along concurrent with the Housing Authority and the Finance. Both are on tonight. Before I forget, I think that's the only thing I have to cover in that specific area. At this point, we'll go over to the presentations, and we have the introduction of new staff member. Park and Record, Manny Carrillo?
Yes, sir,
Go
Mayor.
ahead and introduce the person.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Yuriko, please come. I am happy today to introduce the newest staff member to the Recreation and Community Services Department, Yuriko Ruiz Esparza, and I have a brief bio that I'd like to share with the council members as well as the community. With 10 years of experience working for the public sector, Yuriko Ruiz Esparza has officially been assigned to the Department of Recreation and Community Services. Ms. Ruiz Esparza brings high level of energy and expertise in areas of recreation programming, special events, human services, public relations, and customer service, along with a positive track record working with executive team to complete initiatives for city master plans, community needs assessment, creating new collaborations in the community, and searching for additional grant funding to support department goals. As a Pasadena native, Yuriko began her career in public service at the young age of 14 years old while working for the summer day camp program with the City of Pasadena's Human Services and Recreation Department. Over the years and after numerous promotions, she continued to increasingly manage a variety of recreation programs, recreation centers, and special projects for the past 8 years. Ms. Ruiz Esparza also credits her background experience to her academic studies and professional training. She holds a bachelor's degree in sociology from Cal State Los Angeles and a master's degree in public administration from California State University Northridge that have been instrumental in her ability to lead the recreation programs and social services based on the best practice models. She is an active member of the California Parks and Recreation Society and the National Parks and Recreation Association. Today, she states that she is excited to continue adding to the success of the City of Baldwin Parks Recreation Community Service Department by serving the community with exemplary quality programs and services. Yuriko, welcome to the family of Baldwin Park.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a question, Manny. Is she basically going to do what either Nikki was doing or Monica was doing?
She's going to be doing what Monica Killen did.
Okay.
And Monica...
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. So it is my pleasure and an honor to be here tonight and meet the governing body behind all of the success with the City of Baldwin Park. And as Mr. Director Carrillo mentioned, I'm very excited to serve as your newest program supervisor. And I'm confident that I will be able to bring my energy and expertise into various program factors. I'm also eager to work and align my daily work to match your desired efforts along with the department's goals and missions, and continue to place the City of Baldwin Park Recreation Department as a leading organization across our field. So I look forward to working with all of you, and thank you again for such a warm welcome.
All right, thank you very much. Looking forward. I've heard a lot of positive things about you, so thank you very much for being part of the team. All righty. Okay, the next one that we're going to go is the presentation by Mayor Michael Cacciati, Southern California Air Quality Management District. And just to let everyone know, he's the current Mayor Pro Tem of the City of South Pasadena. So if we could come up here. Thank you. Nice to see you, Mike.
Good to see you, Mayor Manning.
Thank you.
Council members, Mayor Pro Tem, good to see you at the COG meetings also. I have a presentation from the AQMD. I don't know how you started off.
Oh, let's get it. Mark, where's Mark? Mark, thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Mayor, you and council members have a packet in front of you, too, from AQMD, I think?
Yes, yes, we do.
Mayor, while we're waiting to get that installed, what I have for you is in this packet, it lists a number of programs. Actually, right here, the leaf blower exchange program will start registration next week. These are for professional landscapers and in your community that want to turn in your old polluting leaf blowers. And for about a $225 grant, they will only pay $200 for a $400 to $500 leaf blower.
Wow.
That registration will start next week. Also in your program, this is not on the slides, but it's in the back. It says residential EV charging incentive pilot program. This just opened up in the last few weeks. So if a person in your neighborhood wants to get an electric car and install the electric charging station, which costs anywhere from $400 to possibly $1,000, we will give you $250, no matter how much money you make. And if you meet a certain criteria, income, low income, we will give you $500, which will basically pay for 90% of the electric vehicle charging stations on the market today. So you can get this and maybe start advertising this in your community. We just opened it up, and if there's a big demand, we'll even increase the money.
All right, sounds good.
So, Mayor, let's go on with this quick presentation. Just a little quick background for you and other residents here. This is, on the left side, we've got 1970s, and these are a bunch of elected officials in the state. They've got over 100,000 petitions to clean up the air in Southern California. On the right, and that was back in the 70s. In the early 70s, there was 4 separate air pollution control districts. You see on the right, LA, San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange County. Well, back in the 70s, there was 4 separate districts. Legislation 1977 created the AQMD and said, pollution knows no boundaries, let's get together. And going fast forward 50 years, you've now got 16 million residents, 10,000 square miles, 12 million vehicles on the road, the largest port gateway in the United States. This just shows you air pollution, what's been happening. As a blue bar graph, on the left bottom is 1976. Let's go all the way to the right, you see 2012. Notice in 76, as you go up, you've got 200 days that we exceeded the federal clean air standards. So it's really unhealthy for people 2/3 of the year. But going fast forward, even though population has doubled, you look at it, the number of days that are unhealthy is now just under 100. So we've really improved a lot from ozone, but still a long way to go for people with respiratory illnesses. We have 38 monitoring stations throughout the basin. There's a couple not far from you in Duarte and also in Pico Rivera and Pasadena. So we monitor every day the different types of emissions in the air. Here's the challenges we face in Southern California, as we all know. These are mainly mobile sources. On the left, all the cars, millions on our freeways, the container traffic and the ships, the freight traffic on all the trains that come through here every day. Also the Metrolink, which I just took here from downtown LA from my job. That's a diesel, but we've got some good news. We're going to be changing dozens of those with compressed natural gas within the next few years.
Wow.
And heavy-duty diesel trucks and even stationary sources, refineries, et cetera, construction equipment. These are just shows you the different types of sources of pollution in our basin. Sometimes you don't even realize this. You've got the trucks, you know about, heavy-duty ships coming in from across the world, construction equipment. The red are mobile sources. The yellow bars are stationary sources. AQMD can only control stationary sources. We influence mobile sources. But you see the cars, the trucks, the planes, and there's the locomotives. Here's why I'm really here to use, is to say if people can change their habits, because here's the health impacts. That gray semicircle is a diameter of your human hair. Now, put that in comparison to the yellow ball there, which is particulate matter 10. When all of us came in this building tonight, you kicked up, and I do this when I go to the high schools and talk. I bring the measuring equipment from AQMD Labs. Now it's on the market. We test how much PM10 is kicked up, and we kicked up a lot when people came in. You can't see it, but your body can fight it off. The problem is that gold little ball in there, the PM2.5, that's so much smaller, your body can usually fight it off, not all the time. But the worst is that small little orange ball in there is PM0.1. That's ultrafine particulate matter from diesel. And our body, blood-brain barriers don't stop that. We're doing studies now at Cedars-Sinai, Mayor, and unfortunately, at the cellular level, it metastasizes like cancer in animals. This is your human body and all those sources of pollution, and if you're driving a regular gas car or the trains. Here's how it impacts you, your family, your friends, even your animals. All the respiratory problems in your heart, your cardiovascular system, heart attacks, etc. Now, some investments. I want to get you some more money, Mayor. You guys have worked hard, you and your staff, to get a lot of money over the years. And your city, your school district, and your businesses have probably some of the most of all my cities, $3.25 million for clean air projects, large heavy-duty trucks, the school district converting over to LNG or CNG vehicles from diesel, and the structure right behind there, Mayor, you guys applied for it and got it just a couple years ago. The infrastructure, $400,000. That was you've got $400 for a CNG station. As I said, the EV charging infrastructure, $402,000. I checked it out. You've got those e-chargers out there. If you want some more, we want to get you some more. And you've purchased a heavy-duty CNG vehicle for $50,000. Hasn't cost your city very much. You're using your resources to get grants. Here's some other opportunities for you, Mayor, council members, staff. On the far left, there's still money available in these 4 categories from the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Committee. That's the money from your car registration. Goes into a fund and you can apply for it. And your city gets separate money for that too. So there's money still left until June, July for alternative fuel and electric vehicle. So if you want to, I saw something where you may want to expand your CNG charging or refueling facility. Right. There's a lot of money still left. If you want to have my staff work with your staff, and that's open for several more months. I spoke to staff last week. Please apply for it. Otherwise, I'll move it to another category. So if you want to expand a currently existing CNG station or build a new one, it's there. It'll give you matching grants. Second is these other ones we've used up, except the heavy-duty alternative fuel vehicles just closed. Commercial zero emission, I'm going to have my friend talk to you about that. That's something free, exciting, that we're just starting to, we rolled out just a few weeks ago at Cal State LA and Glendale. Hopefully next year we'll have some more money for active transportation programs, bicycle lanes. These are some key dates. That should say 2016 alternative fuel vehicle. That's where you have the time to apply for the CNG stations. People like Arcadia are going to apply for the major event transportation programs when the GO line opens. You could probably, unless you have a large facility here that holds 5,000 people, like a stadium, a racetrack, you can apply for that. I'm not sure if there's one big enough here for that. So you've got money right now in your account, $82,000, nearly $100,000 in your account for this MSRC, which is Assembly Bill 2766 money. We understand you may want to use it on the transit center, hopefully expand some more charging stations there. I'm not sure if they're fully used. If you need money for more charging stations, let us know, or another program. But you can use it for anything that reduces mobile source pollution. Here's some examples of other things we've got in here. A nice little 10-minute video you can show for community groups like Rotary, different clubs, Chambers of Commerce, great little 11-minute video on the harmful impacts and what people can do to avoid pollution. As I indicated before, the leaf blower exchange program registration starts next week. Put that out there. A lot of these leaf blowers they use are the worst polluting. And we've had an exchange at Glendale Community College last year. They had masking tape on these things, grease all over them. This is the first year, Mr. Mayor, I've been working on this project for a couple of years, and you're going to see a demonstration and a quick demonstration in a moment of an all-electric leaf blower, commercial grade, that can blow pebbles across the room. And those will be in this exchange for the first time ever in the United States. We've got every summer we do our residential electric lawnmower program. I've still got one from 8 or 9 years ago, still cutting my little grass that's left. We've also got the commercial lawnmower demonstration, which I'll talk about. Our small business assistance office helps your businesses if you need it. Mr. Mayor, if you or your staff or a Chamber of Commerce ever want a tour up there of our laboratories, our facilities, our electric charging stations, and we'll provide you lunch, we'd love to do it right over here in Diamond Bar. We provide information. We also have grants if you have any dry cleaners in the city. They want to change over from the perk. We do that also. We'll give you $5,000. And this is the program I'm talking about. It's going to be free. Just get up on a list. You'll probably be 3 or 4 months out. As I said, we're signing contracts now with Glendale, Hacienda Heights, La Puente School District. You will get that 60-inch riding lawnmower. You'll get the push 48-inch. You get all the lawn equipment, weed whackers, backpack blowers, hedge trimmers, everything electric, no gas, no oil. And I'm going to have my gentleman, Dan Mabe, from a national organization who runs these companies. Dan, if you want to come up, tell about yourself really quick, do a quick demonstration because the mayor's in a rush. But I want to show them what you can offer them for free.
Okay, cool.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Dan Mabe with the American Green Zone Alliance. Our role in this is the training. The AQMD has been very instrumental in helping bring the technology along, which has paralleled the electric car industry. And finally, we have reached the point where we're doing commercial areas For example, in Michael City, we green zone Garfield Park. It's a 10-acre park with 5 acres of grass. Diesel 60-inch Kubota mower was replaced with the image that you see there, that zero turn. It's all electric. And the blowers that Michael was describing that will be traded, here is a system, and I wanted to show you real time how far they've come.
Okay, cool.
Instead of mixing gas, oil, and pouring it in gas,
That's a trip. Wow. What's that? Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, man, that thing's pretty powerful.
Yeah, speak from here.
This particular system, it actually blows about 530 CFM, that's cubic feet per minute there. And out of the nozzle, it's about 150 miles an hour. So they are comparable to their gas counterparts. If there's hardscape being done, there's no longer a necessity for a gas leaf blower.
What's a battery last on it?
Yeah, this battery, cradle to grave, you should expect 3 to 5 years, depending on the application. As far as run times go, at full CFM, you're going to get about an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But it can last up to 6 hours if it's used correctly, and that's why we do the training with the workers, because we help them apply the equipment properly so they get full efficiency out of it.
I have a
Fantastic,
question.
yes. Go ahead.
I have a question about the battery. You know how they tell you that it's now more and more that the battery to your cell phone shouldn't be held up to your ear or put in parts of your body sometimes when you're holding your phone or whatever, when you're doing something else. How safe is that battery pack to be wearing it in the back where your lungs are and a lot of your important organs?
Sure. The actual battery does not have a signal. So it's the signal that actually is the danger with the cell phones. There is no risk with this battery. And as far as battery fires go for lithium batteries, there are 3 specific chemistries that have been vetted that are specific to this equipment. And there's no to infinitesimal chance of thermal runaway. We have actually heated these batteries up in a solar oven to about 190 degrees and operated the equipment. And it is very safe, and the chemistries are vetted, and all of the manufacturers will take the battery back after it's reached its full cycle.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I address her?
That's
Councilmember Baca? The workers are at Garfield Park that have been doing this now for a year and love it. They've told me when they've gone home to their family at night, they don't smell like gas all over their body, and they're not inhaling nitric oxide, carbon monoxide all day. So there's no gas, and a lot of the lawn equipment they use is oil and gas. They mix it up, and it's 2-stroke engines, which are the most polluting things out there. So they've thanked us because their family doesn't even know they work with lawn equipment anymore.
And one last thing, and because we know you guys are busy, the noise levels, the noise pollution, it cuts in half. All of this equipment is inherently safer for the workers, and then of course the noise is about 50% from its gas counterpart. So really a quality of life improvement is immediate when it's widely implemented.
Dan, quick for the mayor. What about savings? We looked at Garfield Park. They were spending about $400 or $500 a month just on the gas, and a lot more on oil and the equipment repairs. Really quick.
Just a quick numbers. This particular system cost about 12 to 15 cents per hour to operate, depending on price per kilowatt hour in your city. Its gas counterpart is going to be about $1.15 per hour to operate.
Wow, that's great. Definitely something we need to invest in.
And Mayor, again, if you want to get on a list, let me know tonight.
Sure.
And you will get this equipment in 3, 4, 5 months, depending when your cities are finished, and use it for free. Beat it up, try it. One question: do you have your own? Is it your own city staff that does the cutting? Okay.
Yes.
And we contracted out. We even put in a contract within 2 years. 1 year, the Garfield Park. 2 years. By a couple months, our entire city will be green zoned.
Wow.
There'll be no more gas or oil allowed.
Well, thank you very much. We'll have Mr. Dan Wall. You could approach them, and we'll do that. Thank you, Michael. We'll see you in the morning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate
sir.
it.
All right.
Council members, staff.
Thank you for the great job that you do. Excellent. To both of you, thank you. All right. So at this point, we're going to go to the next presentation, which is the oath of office for new student commissioner Anthony Grijalva for services on the Recreation and Community Services Commission. Is he here? Oh, come on up. Oh, saw you coming in. That's right. Yeah, come on up here. Where's Carrillo? Can I read this? Which glasses do I use? Then I'm going to read it to you. I solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, all entities formed in the Constitution of California, freely of any member. I will well and faithfully to enter. So at this point, we don't have any further presentations. I will go ahead and open up the public communication. Anyone wishing to speak? Oh, yeah. Anyone wishing to speak, please state your name. You have approximately 3 minutes. 3 minutes. But before I do that, I just need to read something real quick. That this is announcement as required by Government Code Section 54952.3. Members of the City Council are also members of the Board of Directors of the Housing Authority and Finance Authority, which are concurrently convening with the City Council this evening, and each council member is paid an additional stipend of $30 for attending the Housing Authority meeting and $50 for attending the Finance Authority meeting. So I just need to enter that into the record. So at this point, Mr. Al Contreras, I believe was out. Oh, there he is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and the public. Al Contreras, resident of Baldwin Park for at least 50 years. When Michael made his presentation and brought to mind in the 1970s. In the 1970s, we had quite a bit of second stage smog in our area. And today, we have double the traffic in our freeways, yet we have reduced it by our air quality has been reduced by at least 50%. So I think the air quality is doing an outstanding job. But my other issue on your consent calendar, items number 9, the advisory vote to join the San Gabriel Valley Vector Control. In the past, if I remember correctly, maybe you can expand on it or correct me, that was part of what we used to get with the taxes we paid. My understanding, this would be a new added tax to our residents coming up possibly in November. And maybe if you guys can explain why is it no longer part of the general funds. Item number 11, award for city projects, transit centers, 5th floor for security upgrades. Is this because Rome may be taking additional parking spaces that we have to make more available space for other things than planned? Things have been changed, so now it's going to cost the taxpayers an extra $150,000 more. So maybe if we can get an extra explanation of why these two are being discussed and considered, because I think it's going to cost all the taxpayers here at Baldwin Park. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much.
Thomas Carey, former resident. Well, maybe they have to do it that way because the city may not have as much money as they've been led to believe. Maybe they do. I don't know. You're not going to have a state of the city in was it in April? You're going to have that Easter egg hunt, and why can't you have both? Tells me maybe the city's strapped. Maybe if you spent less time litigating and suing whoever. I understand there was an incident lately where somebody was accused of stalking. Stalking is when you're at a place where that person is wherever they are. Say, Cruz Baca, somebody follows you, they're at the market, you're at the gym, you're at the mall, at the gas station, wherever you go. That's stalking, not showing up at a community service event that you're supposed to all go to anyway. I heard about that. Should be thankful I wasn't there. I wouldn't have been very happy to be accused of being a stalker of all things. People have a right to go wherever they want to in this country. This isn't China or Korea or someplace like that. And so somebody's there and you don't want them to be there. Well, ignore them. There's no reason to be accusing people of stuff. Because when you accuse somebody of something like that out in the open, you leave yourself open for litigation, the very thing that you can't afford. You have enough of that. I don't know what this latest things are about, but can the taxpayers in the city afford all this litigation? And it's sue. Every time I turn around, somebody's suing for something. These... I'm going to step on some toes, but the racist news media over there is everything is racism now. Everything. People are having their feelings hurt. Nobody can say anything. We have a First Amendment in this country. The right to free speech. If you don't like it, don't listen. It's like on a radio station. If you don't like what they're talking about, don't listen to that station. Same thing here. If you don't like the heat, you should perhaps resign and find another job where you're not being badgered about stuff, because when you do stuff, you expose yourself to stuff. You're in a public office, you're subject to things being said. You may not like it, but trying to pass decorums to stifle free speech is the wrong avenue. All you're doing is asking for more litigation. You don't want to keep Paul Cook busy, do you? Or maybe you do. Maybe you enjoy spending the taxpayers' money trying to fight him off. You've been over this ground before. Stop the litigation. There's people suing for everything. You got enough of that. The black people over here crying racism, and they're causing the trouble. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, at this point, moving on with public communication.
Hello, City Council, residents. This company named Rome, they're just poor business people. You know what? They're taking our money, spending it, and giving it to a person that ran for office. They can't pay taxes, but they sure can steal our money and give it back to you people up there. You are a disgrace to the people of Baldwin Park. I cannot believe they want people like you, and you to run this city. You know why they don't care? Because they don't live here. Those people from Rome don't pay taxes. Okay, they paid $1 million. But here we're going to get stuck with the payment for the rest of our lives. And you people enjoy that. All of you people up there. You people are terrible. We keep telling you to get tax money. Rome's got money to throw away for you, and you, but they can't pay taxes. They won't give money to the city for school, education. You know, you keep complaining, we don't have enough money, we don't have this, we don't have that. Well, Jiminy Crickets, you're giving the city away. Think about it. Think about it. The people back here that belong to Rome are just laughing at you people, and they say, we'll give them couple $1,000s for running for office, and we'll make them, oh my God, I got a lot of money. You don't have nothing. Think about it. You got people sitting in here that work for Rome and do not pay taxes to the city of Baldwin Park. None of them. But you guys gave them all the work. You got a project number 2 going. How much money are we getting, Mayor? I notice you don't answer me when I ask questions. You'll come up with this constitutional right, freedom of speech, and so on and so on. But you can't give answers to questions that are asked. I ask you how much parking was for that facility. You don't even know, I think. Oh, I forgot. 1901, half a vehicle. The average family today probably owns 6 cars or more. Think about it. How many cars you own? How many cars do all you own? I'm pretty sure it's not one or half a car. And whoever invented half a car must have been riding a horse. Thank you. But you people got to start thinking about how much it's going to cost us. Quit giving the city away and start collecting internal revenue money. We need money. You want to build this. You want to open up the school districts, park the school grounds during the weekend. You got that kind of money to open it up?
Mr. Lunar?
Or are you begging for something to hand you?
Appreciate that. Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
3 minutes.
Thank you. All right, moving along with public communication. Good evening.
My name is Emmanuel Estrada. At the previous meeting, it was announced that a lawsuit against the city due to police misconduct had been settled. Robert Tafoya told the SGV Tribune that the lawsuit was settled because of the high cost to complete. But the higher cost really comes from the settlement. When was the last time Baldwin Park was noticed for something positive? The last time I heard about Baldwin Park was when, for the 3rd time, the city was found to be in violation of the Public Records Act. If there was nothing to hide, why wouldn't the CEO just present the records the first time? As a concerned resident, I worry when the city representatives engage in questionable decisions. I don't understand when an apartment complex designed to house 70 families will be built in an area which already has a heavy traffic flow. But then I look at your campaign forms, and I see that Lozano took $5,000 and Monica Garcia took $4,000 from Rome, and it all makes sense. I recall in 2013 when hardworking Hispanics had to protest the council, police department, and royal coaches, and then I wonder why the council would like to continue a relationship with a company that holds a negative image in the eyes of the residents. But then again, I look at your campaign contributions, and I see that Monica Garcia, Susan Rubio, and Mayor Manuel Lozano all have taken money from royal coaches. When the mayor is asked about the city debt and dodges a question instead of informing residents on the financial status, and then Pacheco tries to offer consultants $4,000 after they've lowered the fee to $3,900, I have no choice but to believe the city is in trouble. Furthermore, we live in a state that has collected over $100 million in tax revenue from medical marijuana. Why ban an industry that can fund our police department so that we never have to consider replacing our officers with sheriffs? Why lose out on an opportunity to give our children a steady education by guaranteeing their employment, by guaranteeing their teachers solid salaries with no pay cuts so that they don't feel the need to seek better employment opportunities? I have yet to understand how any of the members of the council can claim to represent the people of Baldwin Park. How do any of you know what the people want when they're not involved and there is no real initiative on your part to encourage them? 75,000 residents, 30,000 registered voters, and only 4,000 voted. The interests of the city's residents are not present in the minds of its council, and the residents deserve a city that they can enjoy after a hard day's work, and you have repeatedly failed in giving them that. Thank you.
Moving along with public communication, anyone wishing to speak?
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council,
Thank you. Good evening.
city staff. I'm here for items SA 16 and SA 17, the exclusive negotiation agreement with MJW Investments. And I'm here to just tell you that I generally support the city's need to look for its best and highest use of its land. Certainly support that. I understand we have a need for open space and public use facilities and how that contributes to improving our quality of life. And so But I think it's the fiscal prudence of this council that we need to look at uses that generate income for us. So I am in support of taking a look again at the project here to see how we can reap income for the city while still meeting our needs for open space and public use facilities. The only two concerns I have, and that's simply because I'm a new resident, is Baldwin Park. I question the exclusive negotiation agreement. I personally just don't know if we have already sought better alternatives and we open this up to bids to make sure that we are negotiating from a position of power and not prematurely giving away something here by entering an exclusive agreement, negotiation agreement. And then my other question simply is this. I just want to make sure that I understand that the acquisition of property by MJW, if I'm correct, I understand it to be something that will occur after all the deliverables of the ENA are completed, and if the city determines that this is a project that it wants to go forward with, and not before. So those are the only two questions that I have on these two items, and I hope that at some time during the meeting, either the council members or staff can address them in some way. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Assemblymember Roger Hernandez. I just wanted to go ahead and share two upcoming events that he will be hosting. The first one's going to be this upcoming Friday in the city of Duarte. He's going to be having the Senior Fraud Prevention. Following that, on Saturday, he's going to be having the Transportation Town Hall Forum here, actually in this Baldwin Park City Chamber. So thank you to the council and the city for allowing the Assembly member to host the Transportation Town Hall here. We invite everyone. We're going to be having Caltrans, Foothill Transit, Bike SGV, Metro. It's going to be a panel, and it's going to be quite interesting. The Gold Line as well, as we're going to be having a lot of buzz about it. So we hope to see you guys all there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Ken Woods. I'm a 49-year resident and business owner here in Baldwin Park. You know, I'm confused. We hire consultants to develop a City Hall Park project. We have workshops, which, by the way, were very well attended, to get public input, which was positive. Well, they were well attended except for the mayor, Councilman Pacheco, and Councilwoman Garcia. They kind of missed the meetings. And now Councilman Pacheco wants to dump that project and put these apartment buildings in its place. We probably say he'll probably say, you know, well, we don't have the money for that park project, but we did have the $100,000 to hire those consultants, and their job was to get the grant money for the park project. So that's why I'm confused. I don't know what the heck's going on here. So does this process start over again and we have scoping meetings to get public input on this apartment project, or what? You know, maybe it's time we look into term limits.
All right, thank you very much. We're along with public communication.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Beatriz Sandoval. I'm business owner, but I want to translation, but everybody understand my English. It's okay with the translation. That's fine. One. Oh, I tried. Thank you. Estoy preocupada de ver en la agenda la solicitud para usar los campos de las escuelas para áreas de recreación para sábados y domingos.
I am concerned to see the agenda that is concerning the baseball fields or in
No, green field.
green fields.
Yeah. Campos Verdes.
The green fields for Saturdays and Sundays.
Mi preocupación es que no estén presentando un desarrollo, un plan para usar estos campos y vayan a usarse solamente como campos para soccer.
My concern is that they're not going to be used for the right play. Oh my goodness. Okay. To play soccer.
Y mi otra preocupación es que vayan a ser usados por una juventud que lastimosamente está perdida en las drogas o en no tener un trabajo, porque son víctimas del mismo sistema que estamos viviendo en nuestra comunidad.
That is going to be used for the people or the children that are in drugs or in the bad.
That system. These people is very common in our community. I'm business owner, and in my business place, every day walking people drugging, using marijuana, using everything they have in her hands. I'm very worried. Don't present the Meni Carrillo, the desarrollo, or what is the position? I don't know, but this issue need to be present with one plan for integrate the communities, not only for spend time the families, because it's not used for that. It's very contradictorio. It's very contradiction. You're planning more, building more departments, condos, but I don't have a space for the spend time with the family. You have planned for that one too? It's terrible. We use the space. How much money you spend when one project in the main avenue and Stirling Avenue to construct one recreation area or one park there, and now you you present one new project for that one, for that part of the city. Where is the family development? What is the family values here? You work for the companies or work for the community? I don't want to ask you how much money they give you to put this project in the city. You need to work more with the community. The park and recreation area is very important for the young people here, also for the families. If the city wants to use the parks, you need to put your hands there and planning, show one planning very realistic. Not only because they want to more support for next year voters. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, can I just translate a
Yes,
little bit of
that's
her,
fine.
because I think some of it got lost in translation, in particular one section. She was sharing that she's a business owner, and for years she's seen, people using drugs, kids that sometimes prefer the outdoors instead of school. So I think her concern was that if you open spaces all over the city, there has to be a plan in place, because she says she's seen kids unattended, and she's afraid that they need a specific plan. You can't just let kids loose in areas of the park, because she's afraid they're going to use them for those uses, drug use and that kind of stuff. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Councilmember Susan Rubio.
John Rios, resident. Going back to the 460 forms, Oil Coach, Robert, and your buddy Garcia, and everything gave so much to the mayor and stuff like that, Going through all of them is kind of healthy, But that's enough of that. We know what you guys did, okay? One of the things that you guys don't understand is that the schools belong to the citizens of Baldwin Park. They don't belong to the city itself. We pay taxes on it. We cannot open the school grounds for the soccer leagues. If any of you saw 60 Minutes on Sunday, the World Association for Soccer is being prosecuted because of that. Money laundering, paying off certain governments and everything. Is that what we want in Baldwin Park? El Monte doesn't want it. The citizens over there don't want it. The ones in La Puente, Bassett, they don't want it. West Covina doesn't want it. You know, those are the things that you guys have to realize, that we pay the taxes for the schools to be run for the kids, for their education, their playgrounds. But you guys want to open all the parks, all the schools. Who's benefiting out of it? The soccer leagues are. Let's go on Merced and Olive over there on Olive Junior High. It's full with soccer leagues in there. Just on Saturday and Sunday. You know, those are the things that I think it's time for the citizens of Baldwin Park to get together again, and we're going to have to call the state school board. Because we're not going to be spending our money, or else we're not going to pay taxes. Okay? But you guys think it's okay because they're your buddies. They give you money for your campaign. And not a lot of other things, you know, but you know, those are the things that you guys as city council have to realize. The majority of the people right here, they belong to Baldwin Park. They pay taxes in Baldwin Park. So let's open our eyes up and stop doing
Mr. Rios, your 3 minutes are up.
There we go again.
All right, moving along with public communication. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, City Council members, residents. I'm just going to really cheer up the council members, especially Manny, Ricardo, Susan, that are looking for the future of our kids. Baldwin Park doesn't constitute with a lot of green areas for kids to play and to develop their skills in any sport. So open up the fields, open up the schools for fields, I think is a good choice. Mm-hmm. The schools belong to the Baldwin Park City. Doesn't belong just to the district, and belongs to all the residents. I can share with you many stories of kids that I've been seeing growing up. They are professional in any sport right now, and they belong to Baldwin Park. So I'm just want to really thank you for doing that for the residents. Doesn't matter what it is. Soccer is one of the most popular sports in the world. Don't bring down the level of sportsmanship that these kids have. All the schools in Baldwin Park are very competitive in that field just because these leagues exist. Otherwise, the schools don't have the money to pay the coaches. So please open up these fields, these schools. I know you have to develop some kind of plan for this, like some residents are asking for. And you are throwing that motion here because you have in mind we got to keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, moving along with public communication.
Greg Tuttle, business owner. Mayor, I want you to think really hard, and I'll give you one chance to take that comment that you made about the 5-0 vote for me. So you got a chance. It's on film, so you got a chance to renew yourself, okay? Now, I want to go on to We have a council member here that the list is a mile long with Royal Coaches. He uses the brother-in-law, uses the Royal Coaches Direct, over $5,000 given to him. Market Media, $5,500. AAE, $1,000. That's Sid Masabi that gets lucrative contracts. Montebello Housing, $1,000. And this is Ricardo Pacheco. Now, the mayor threw something out there at the upstairs council meeting about ethics. You didn't want to pass ethics for the council. You want to pass it just for other people. Well, let me remind you what you tell everybody here after we get done speaking. I have the right of the First Amendment right to say whatever I want, and you can't restrict that. So you remember that. The city can make any laws they want, but that's not the state of the United States. You have the First Amendment right to say what we want to say in a respectful way, and I will do that. And you can do any kind of harassing charges, whatever you want to do, Mayor. Now, as far as the parks go, if you're going to do, you have 4 parks. I think the newest one's 20 years old. The parks keep getting redone on grant money. Well, I don't know how many times you've redone the water park over there. You need new parks. You have more people coming in here with apartment buildings that are a joke. You're going to cram up this area here, cram up the area over there. You got all congestion. Where are you going to put more parks? You need to think of open space. Using the schools is not an option. Who's paying the schools? Who's taking care of those yards? The soccer leagues weren't giving any money to the schools. We kept protesting that. The soccer league puts their porta potties for free at the city. Then they get them dumped over and the city has to clean them up. It's all buddy deals here. You people are disgusting. And I can't believe that we sit here and we allow you people to misuse city funds to sue people, individual people, because you're scared and you're harassing. And Monica Garcia came up to me at a conference, and I'm going to let you know, I'm going to every conference and I'm going to sign up for every conference that this council goes to. So be prepared. I can go as a citizen, and as a free citizen, I will go wherever I want. And I was up there on business, but that's fine. But you're, Mayor, you're sitting here with these buildings that you want to do, 45 apartments with Pacheco's little deal because he's pissed at Susan and Baca, and then he wants to do because he's pissed at me.
Watch the language, please. Watch the language.
What was the thing I said?
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come up?
I'm here because I have problems with waste management. I order containers, I think 7 months ago, and they never bring the containers. But the bill came every single month. This is the final notice of post. I don't want to go to take this quantity to collection. My credit count too much for me. And I already, I talked to them, the waste management company, a lot of times. They said, oh, this Friday is there, this Friday is there, this Friday is there. I don't know how many Fridays they supposed to bring the containers, and they say, no, it's right there. Where? I take whole day, stay home, or when I can't stay there, is somebody else, and never came. I already talked to David Lopez with my daughter 3 times or 4 times, and they say, I fix it. I called to the company, and nothing happened. I don't know what can I do for the waste management listen to me, or my city listen to me, my representatives. Sorry for my English, it's not really good, but I try to explain you what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Danwall. We got a sister in that area. All right, we're going to assist you right here with this gentleman, Mr. Danwall. All right, so at this point, anyone else wish to speak? If not, I will now declare the public communication closed. Anyone wishing? All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and go into the... oh, you know what? Hold on. Let's just go ahead and, real quick, the ones you want to go ahead and take that one particular one. Go ahead.
Yeah, there were a couple questions asked on some of the items. Number 9 is the advisory vote to join the San Gabriel Valley Vector Control District. There are some new, very aggressive mosquitoes in the area. They bite during the day, not only at night. The last 2 summers, we've got numerous complaints and petitions from residents. The district will no longer contract on a year-by-year basis, is my understanding, and Baldwin Park is the only city, sort of an island, that is not in the district. So this item would allow the residents to vote on joining the district.
All right, yes, and I'll mention more information on the
Okay.
consent calendar.
And on item 11 were the security improvements. Our police department has never had secured parking. During these times, across our country, some police officers have been attacked, and in fact, in Downey, an officer was killed in their parking lot. Since the parking structure was built, it does now allow us to easily make secured parking for the police department. We're not using Baldwin Park taxpayer money. We're using federal asset forfeiture fund, which comes from drug dealers that are arrested and have their assets seized. And then on the final item, the ENAs on items 16 and 17. The ENA, if approved, would be at no cost or risk to the city. There is an investment by the developer, and that's why they request that we negotiate with them exclusively during that 6-month time period. And then after that time period is up, they would present reports to the City Council in order for them to make their final decision. And if they do like the deal that is presented, it would lead us into the next phase of that, which is a DDNA, which is Disposition and Development Agreement, and that would spell out if and how the land is purchased and what the development would be. So this is a process that the public can follow and have input along the way.
Shannon, can I also add to that for the ENA? One of the questions was, is there a competitive process? And I wanted to address that. There have been many proposals for this site over the years, and this one it looks nice, and so I think that's why it gained the support from the council to even consider an ENA.
I'm sorry. I think that the question is that there were grant monies as well as a lot of time in the last couple of years to put together a civic plaza with community meetings and bringing the residents in the community into the fold to look at some of the plans and to see some of the ideas that were coming up. And now the residents are seeing that this plan is being thrown out the door and that now we're bringing in a developer to put in apartment buildings. I think that there's a lot of confusion as to why that process was changed. And I think that the residents need the answer.
Mayor, may I ask that this is getting into a discussion that's on the agenda. We'll get there and talk about it, but I think we're just making comments as council members.
All right, it would be addressed at the
Thank you. Yes. And I was addressing the individual who expressed support for the ENA and the development, and who had the question as to what it means exactly. Thank you.
All right.
But I just want to have the floor for a moment. I just want to address some of the comments that were made. And I feel, I'm sorry that some of the residents feel, or some of the speakers feel negative about the community. But I think it's important to remember a lot of the good things that we've done here in the city. And, we've really worked hard, especially with our local, our unions and labor negotiations. We were able this year, because the city did so well, give the POA a very good, contract, one that they negotiated hard for, and one that we gave them some very good benefits. And we want to take care of them because our police department really takes care of us, and we, really sat down with them and penciled out a good negotiation. And as far as our members' other negotiations with other labor unions, we also took care of them, made sure that, that because of the service that they provide us, that they were well taken care of. Our city has done well, throughout the years, even when the economy was bad. We were able to restore a lot of programs that we didn't have, like the 4th of July program, concerts in the park, and a lot of programs that are very positive in our city. As far as the parks, throughout the years, we have improved every park that we have. Every park that you go to has a brand new building. It's been restored, and it's been, the senior citizen center. We were able to get grants for that, and to be able to expand that senior citizen center. It was a lot smaller. before. It has a building with a lot more services, and it's just a lot more better facility in the past. We also, at Barnes Park, we were able to build a new facility there, a family center. That park was dark, vacant, didn't have anything. We were able to put an area for soccer fields, brand new playground with splash play equipment, a new building for have an office out there. The Hilda Solis Park, a brand new building with a skate park, basketball court area, picnic area, new playground equipment again at that building. Just almost every park you go to in Baldwin Park has continuously been upgraded. So I think this city council has worked hard to make sure that we take care of the residents, that your tax dollars are well spent. If you look around and drive around the city, a lot of your streets are being redone. We're spending your tax dollars that comes into this city, and we're spending it well. I know that Dan Wall, our Public Works Director, has worked very hard to make sure that all these streets get done and get accomplished. I don't know how many miles of street we're doing this year. I mean, do you have a just off the wall? I mean, how much?
Just off the top of my head, I'd say it's about 5 miles of streets that we're doing.
5 miles of streets are being redone in this city. That's your taxpayers' dollars that are being spent to improve this city. Our chief of police works very hard to make sure that they get grants. He got a new mobile unit. Gets a lot of new police cars. If you see our police cars, they're new, the equipment. He tries very hard to make sure that we have the best crime-fighting equipment, computer software, computer equipment upgrades, new offices, I think, for our officers were recently put in. So he's really addressing the needs of our those that are fighting crime in our community, making sure they have the best equipment that we could possibly afford. Parks and Recreation consistently they get state awards for all the hard work that they do. And so, our Parks and Recreation is envied throughout the state. It's one of the best ones that we have. We have a director that works very hard to make sure that all this, works out. So it's important that, when you look around the community to make sure you see all the positive changes. Someone could sit there and make a lot of accusations, but when you look at all the positive that's going on in here, it's phenomenal, and that's why the city, voted to put a lot of us back in office, because we're doing a strong job for this community. And lastly, these projects, are not mine. The last 2 projects that are on the consent calendar, it was brought in a special session. The developer presented, among others, throughout the last months, and the council voted 5-0 to bring it for discussion here in this city council. So it's not my project, quote unquote. It was brought here for discussion. So we're going to discuss it and then decide what direction we go in, and we can answer some of the questions. We'll get into that discussion. I know there's council members on both sides and some in the middle of these projects. We'll see where we go once we get into those discussions. It's on the agenda for public discussion. Okay, so thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, I just want to make one comment. I just want to clarify one comment about the competitive bid for that section across the street, which would become the Park Plaza. I think there's some inaccurate statements to make, because it says that there's been a lot of projects proposed and brought to us, and the reason that's inaccurate because we've never entertained anything there. And there's one big reason, and that is that land did not belong to us 100%. So we couldn't entertain that motion. A little section of that land belongs to the school district. And when we started the project, the Park Plaza, we asked them to donate that land so we can make it a park, and that's how we acquired the land. Thank you, Mayor.
And I will reiterate that we have been working on that project for the last year and a half. Spent a lot of time going through everything, did bring in the community, did invite council members and the mayor to attend. And I'm sorry, Councilmember Pacheco, but it was not a 5-0 vote because we had been working on the park. So I think that was a mistake, but that's okay. I understand. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
we'll get into the discussion, but this project is stalled because there's no funding for it. I'll get into that more deeper when we get to that item. But yes, it was a 5-0 vote. And if you want to listen to the tapes, you voted for it. Yes, you did. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to go ahead and into the next item that we have here. So we're going to go ahead and go into the consent calendar. I'm going to go ahead and yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I was going to pull item number 8.
Okay, all righty.
And item number 10.
Okay, so we want 8 and 10. I'm gonna go ahead.
I have some items myself. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt
I'm going
you?
to pull out
No,
item
go
number
ahead.
9.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, she has number 8 and 10. I'm pulling item number 9.
Okay, I would like to pull 4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Give me 1 second. And 11.
Okay, and 11.
You know what? Actually, the 11, I just wanted to address, the upgrades, and I think someone just did that right now. So I would draw that. Thank you. Yes.
All right, so at this point, yes.
So we're pulling, I'm sorry, it was 4, 6,
8.
Hold on. I have 4, 6, 8, 9,
10, and
10,
11?
and 11. Basically, the whole thing. Did you put 4 as well, right?
4, 6.
Did anyone say 5?
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. If I take that
Okay,
back, I know
so-
what it was now.
You want 5?
No, it's 4, 6, and 11.
4, 6, and 11. Bingo. Okay, we there? Yeah, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yes.
All righty?
Yes.
All right, so at this point, yeah, go ahead.
I have a request, maybe Councilwoman, I wanted to take 6 off and bring it back to the next council meeting.
Item number 6?
You want to do that? Item number 6, just bring it back to the next meeting.
Well, let's get there. Let's do the other ones, then we'll
Okay.
go over them. Then at that point, you could table it. All right? So at this point, Councilman Susan Rubio requesting item 4, which is the approval
go ahead.
of an agreement to allow temporary modular office trailers to be placed within an existing parking area at 5050 River Grade Road in conjunction with an existing business. So at this point, Councilmember?
Yes, I just have a concern, and it's been a long time since we had this discussion, so I don't know who's handling this. At some point, maybe 2 years ago, someone approached us about this situation, and we as a council had concerns of how do we safeguard from having people want to have these side businesses, for example, coming to us and saying we need a module, and they're allowed 2 years to have this on the side and maybe run a business from it. And I remember 2, maybe 3 years ago, that was a discussion. We were afraid that if we don't have some safeguards in place, then people were going to misuse that. And I think we denied it for one person because we were afraid that if we allow one person, then anybody can come and say, I need a module for 2 years, and we couldn't make sure if they were running a business out of that particular module. So I don't know who was working with us at the time, but I want clarification on that because the issue still exists. So if one person comes and says, I need it for 2 years, how do we say to somebody else, no, we're giving it to one person and not the other?
Yeah, I think Amy can talk about this a little bit. My understanding on this one is this business is doing substantial construction improvements within the building, and that they want this to be used on the site
For
temporarily while they're under construction so that they could make the improvements inside the building. Amy?
Actually, what this is specifically for, Freudenberg Medical is actually looking to hire additional engineers for new programs and new products that they're going to be manufacturing. They don't have the room inside their existing building to accommodate these new engineers. And so while they're in the process of figuring out how they want to expand their floor area within inside the existing building, they need a place to put these new employees. And so that's what this trailer is for. It's only for a limited amount of time. It's not for a new business. It's just to accommodate these new employees that Freudenberg Medical needs to hire so that they can, create these new medical device thingies.
And Amy, during those 24 months, they would do the construction inside on the mezzanine that is
That's
required.
what they're looking to do. I've
They could move
actually
the employees
already
inside.
met with an architect at the front counter talking about some ideas about some things that they do want to do to the building. Freudenberg Medical just recently purchased this building, so they're here to stay.
And I understand that. I'm not concerned with the uses. I guess what I'm saying is if somebody else came to us and said, hey, I need a module on the site, are there like a list of check-off, if you will, that they have to meet in order for us to say yes or no? We know that they're using it for the right purpose, but can anybody else come and say we need this, we're trying to remodel, and then we don't keep track as to the uses of that module?
Typically, our code typically does not allow what I think I understand you saying. This is actually, like I said, this one's being used as an existing business to accommodate their growing employee population. What I think I'm understanding you is that somebody wants to put a trailer on a piece of property to conduct business. Our code doesn't accommodate for that.
Yeah, and the only reason I brought it up because it was a lengthy discussion like maybe 3 years ago, and I just remember there was something, the reason why we denied it for someone, and I just want to make sure that you are sure that there's no loopholes where someone can just come and open a business, right? Okay,
If it's
that's
not
all I needed
in the
to know.
code, it shouldn't happen.
Mayor?
Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco.
Why would it take 24 months if they're going to do a building, it's taking 2 years to make a building? I mean, it just seems.
This is actually, they haven't decided if they're going to do just tenant improvement work with inside the building. They're also thinking about redoing the facade. Redoing the facade requires going through design review. Plus, it's just the extent of all the work that they're looking to do. And this is from beginning to end for them.
Can't we, once they decide what they're going to do, then look at their construction schedule and decide at that point? I just think 24 months is a long time. I think 6 months for a construction project or 9 months based on a construction schedule would allow the city a better way to determine if 24 months is a long time or not. It just seems like a long time to make a building. 2 years.
Yeah, and they haven't even submitted to us yet. However, I do know that they are in the process of recruiting these new engineers to accommodate, what they're proposing to newly manufacture and produce. They're in the very, very beginning stages of what they're trying to figure out to do with the building. They haven't even formally submitted anything yet.
I mean, are they in the building now?
I'm sorry?
They're in that building?
Yeah, they're existing in the building right now. They have a big manufacturing facility in there.
Okay, so then they would expand a temporary facility for 2 years until they're figuring out what they want to do in their existing building?
What they want to do is they want to add this 720 square foot trailer to accommodate these new employees that they need to hire to manufacture and design new medical equipment. They design the little things like on IVs, those little itty bitty plastic parts. That's what they make.
I think, I think that it's very much like the modulars that City of Hope used over on, I think it's Santa Clara Street in Monrovia, because I go by there a lot. And for the longest time, they had these modulars because that's where their billing was. Their billing since has moved over to Rivergrade. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's Irwindale or Baldwin Park, but I remember that because they had an overwhelming billing and employees, they had to put them in this modular, and they were there for about 3 or 4 years. So I understand that that's probably what they need. They need somewhere to house these employees because they're overflowing. Oh, and one more question. Will they be, is there a clause or something in the contract that will say that at the end of the 24 months or before, if they finished their facility, are they asked, or do they have to remove that trailer or that module off of the premises?
Yes.
Okay.
See, and that's what happened last discussion. There was just a lot of unanswered questions as to how do we, check, make sure that they remove it, and what if they bring, uses that they're not allowed. And I'm not talking about this company. It was just, inviting general public to come and say, hey, I need something on the side. They could say, I'm also remodeling, and I think that was a discussion. And I would probably say, can we approve it for a shorter period of time and just to check in? Then expand the contract or whatever we want to call it?
That's at the direction of the council.
Well, I would encourage us to probably check in, I would say maybe, a year and see where we're at. Even 6 months if they would agree.
Councilmember Rubio, I can tell you the last time they came to this with us when they were making major software changes and their payroll, and they needed a place to house the consulting firm that was making all these changes to their payroll. That contract was for a year.
Okay.
So
I would make a motion for a year if that's something you guys would consider, just so we could check and make sure everything is in the up and up. Thank you.
So at this point, there's a motion by Councilmember Susan Rubio, seconded by Councilmember Cruz Baca. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections at this point, we'll move.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. At this point, we'll go over to item 6, which is consideration of designating the Planning Commission as the Business Improvement Advisory Committee pursuant to Ordinance 842 relating to the establishment of a citywide business improvement area in the city of Baldwin Park. Anyone have any comments?
Yes. Well, I just wanted to know who's handling this, because it's assigning the planning commission as advisory board, but I want to know specifically what's the difference between being a planning commissioner that already kind of vets the projects that come in. They have an open forum to give ideas, discussion, give us input. So I'm not sure what the difference is between them being planning commissioners and also being on a separate board. Wouldn't it be the same thing? Can someone explain what the specific difference is?
Yes, I can explain a little bit. The state law in the municipal code requires that the city appoint a advisory committee to make recommendations to the city council on the expenditures of the business improvement taxes. Various cities appoint different commissions. Staff did some research, and the city attorney's office also did some research and found that typically that cities appointed typically one of three entities. A chamber of commerce in many cases. The planning commission oftentimes was selected since there's already a board, and then they were just given that additional duty, and you're not creating another commission or committee. And then some cases they'll just select individuals from the community to sit on that committee.
Well, I think that I would like to see more of a diversity in that committee. I mean, I can see, especially because we're spending the business district money, I'd like to see a business come and join the board if that's okay. Maybe we can add two more. You know, in addition to the planning commission, we could ask maybe a business owner to join us, and maybe a resident community member that has vested interest, so we can have these checks and balances where we have different perspectives and diverse group, and we're all really looking at how that money's being spent.
Yes. Why don't we bring this back? Because I also have questions on this. So can we just
why don't we just bring it back
for another
to the
meeting?
next meeting, or another meeting.
Do that.
All right, thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to bring item 6.
I'll second.
Second. Any objections? Who seconded?
I did.
Councilmember Cruz Baca. At this point, any objections? Seeing none, so move. All right, item 8, which is approval of additional funding for a city project number 2015, Walnut Creek Nature Park improvement. That's Vice Mayor Monica Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I thought I'd pull this item for discussion just because there's been question as to whether we're investing in our parks and open space. And this is a perfect example of how we're doing that with an existing park that needs renovation and new breath and some good revitalization there. So I want to ask Manny Carrillo if you'll give us a status report on this project.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to share with the council as well as the community in regards to improvements at Walnut Creek Nature Park. We hired an architect about 18 months ago, and we are in the midst of completing phase 1. We have broken down the project into 3 phases. Actually, Public Works to my right, to your left, Mr. Wall, his staff is in charge of the construction element of the project, and tonight we are asking for an additional $50,000, and phase 1 should be completed within the next few months. Shortly after that, phase 2, which we do have the funding, will commence, and the timeline for that one will be dependent on the contractor and the scope of work. And currently for phase 3, we submitted a grant to the RMC, Rivers, Mountains, and Conservancy, and we are asking for just over $700,000. So we feel the odds of receiving those funds are relatively high, since they have funded past projects, and they actually funded a conceptual park master plan for Walnut Creek Nature Park for $35,000 just over a year ago. So those are some of the improvements to Walnut Creek Nature Park. There'll be a new bioswale, walking trails, the actual observation deck will be improved. So lots of neat improvements to Walnut Creek Nature Park. Thank you.
And Manny, can you tell us about the funding for this, what we have currently, and the sources of that funding?
Oh boy, the sources come from a wide array of funding sources. We have some from Gloria Molina's office when she was the county supervisor, she awarded us several $100,000. We also have LCWF, Land Water Conservation Fund, which is via from the federal government to the state government, and then they go ahead and forward the funds to us. And there are a few more funding sources, one through California State Parks, and Dan's staff was very creative, and they tapped into another funding source that I'm not completely knowledgeable of, and maybe Dan could expand on that one.
Sure. So the item before you tonight is to allocate $50,000 in TDA funding. This is funding that normally goes towards sidewalks and ADA accessibility improvements for people on bicycles or walking or in wheelchairs. We're making ADA improvements for accessibility at the park, and so that is an allowable use of this funding, and that's why we're asking the council to approve $50,000 to go towards ADA improvements at the park.
And if I understand, this is a first amount that would come from the city, because all the other funding has come from external sources.
Yes, that is right.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, let me go ahead and move to approve. Thank you.
All right, I'll second. Oh, second, Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. Any objections? See none, so move. All right, item number 9, which is the advisory vote to join the San Gabriel Valley Vector Control District. I placed this on here because it's important. A lot of us know we're having that Zika virus that's affecting Central and South America, and it's reached the U.S. as well. So currently we are not with the Vector. And are they here tonight?
Yes,
they're here. Okay, so what we're basically, Ken, yes. At this point, sending this out to the residents and have their input and their vote. So that's what will come, and then we'll bounce. And out of curiosity, legal counsel, because we did one similar to this before, and I thought it was the owners of properties in Ballpark, or does this go to everyone in general? I know that's what the CEO stated, because we had one similar to this, a whole different thing, but it was only geared towards the actual property owners, but I don't know.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, in a Proposition 218 vote, it would be only the parcel owners.
Okay.
This is not a true Prop 218 vote because it's an annexation through LAFCO. So you're doing this as a voluntary measure, and the council has chosen to send it to all residents rather than just parcel owners in order to get more input from the residents.
All right. I just wanted a clarification. So this, again, will go out to the residents, and they will have the input to vote on us joining the Vector. So it's very important, of course, because we're probably, I think, the only one in the San Gabriel Valley that still has not joined the particular agency as well. So just want to let the residents know you're going to get more information about this, and we could place it on the website as well. That would be nice.
And we'll also have a couple town hall meetings with this to get information to the residents.
All right. So at this point, I'll go ahead and move for approval of the item number 8, the advisory vote. Second. Any objections? See none, so move. All right, we'll go over to item 10, which is the notice of completion of city projects. This, not certain who requested this. Was this?
I did.
Oh, Councilmember,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Monica Garcia.
Thank you.
No,
And
thank you.
I just wanted to know if this is the project that we're seeing on Baldwin Park Boulevard right now.
No, it is not. So the project on Baldwin Park Boulevard is the second of the 3 projects scheduled for this fiscal year for pavement. This item before you is for the project that was just completed, which was the first project, and it concentrated on the smaller residential streets.
Okay. Okay, then
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to move to approve, but what I would ask is for Baldwin Park Boulevard, if we can put some signage that tells the residents when we can expect that construction, what the duration of that construction. That would be really,
we'll get that.
I think, helpful to our residents. So I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any
just
objections?
one comment from our Public Works Director. So we're making a payment of $68,541.07. What was the total project value?
So the total project value was 100. I'm sorry, 1,300,070,000.
Okay, and this was to cover
1,370,000 more or less.
About 1.37.
And so this $68,000, the city holds back on paying the contractor And so this notice of completion gets filed with the county clerk, and it's so that any of the subcontractors or material suppliers are then put on notice that the city is getting ready to pay this final amount that we've been withholding. So if they need to make a claim, they have 35 days to make a claim against the contractor. They notify the city of that. It's to make sure laborers get paid and everyone's paid.
Okay, and so there was several residential streets that were completed?
Yes, yeah.
I just want to say, just so the public knows, that 1.37 million was spent on your tax dollars to fix residential streets. That's a positive for our community. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make a comment to thank Dan Wall and staff, and also Sully Miller. I know some of the guys that were working, especially out there on my street. Beautiful job, the streets, what a difference. I know that a lot of the people that live on Stewart and go through Stewart by St. John's really, really appreciate the speed bump in front of the school. Highly appreciated. And what a beautiful job. The streets look great. Very, very long time coming. Thank you so very much.
Alrighty. Okay, so at this point, we're going to item 11, which is award of the bid in the city project. So the transit center, 5th floor, security upgrades. Who's handling this? Dan Wall? Yes, sir.
Oh, I am. I had some questions. I think we pretty much answered the questions, but one item that concerns me, I know there's a lot of talk about funding and lack of funding, and so I just wanted for the public's knowledge, clarification, if we can explain to them where the funding came from, asset forfeiture, and what does that mean, and the impact to our general fund, which is none, but can you explain to the public what that means?
Sure, thank you.
Rubio. Thank you.
Asset forfeiture funds are a compilation of state asset forfeiture funds and federal forfeiture funds. Where these funds come from is the work that we do with other organizations, especially federal organizations, where we have officers assigned to different task force. And what they do is they investigate things like the cartels and large drug manufacturers, and also some other type of crimes on a large scale. And what we try to do is we try to reduce their ability to operate by taking their funds in the form of the assets, such as cars, houses, trucks, large sums of money that comes in. And what happens is there's a pot involving all the agencies that work in these task force, and they split the money and it goes to the various agencies to help fund that effort in order to supply the officers by paying their wages, paying the overtime, and also to help us fight crime in our local communities by buying things like vehicles, weapons, computers, and to also pay for overtime to patrol your streets when we're doing things like gang sweeps or probation or parole searches. So the money's used for a lot of good that goes back into the community. We just recently purchased a mobile command post, which was a little under $500,000, which is one of the newest command posts in the San Gabriel Valley, which we intend to use quite often. You'll see it at some of the local events that will be coming out. We had it here on a open house one night to show it to the public. We also purchase new rifles and weapons for the police departments. We have state-of-the-art weapons that we're currently using. We also have purchased all new computers for the entire department. We've upgraded to touch screen computers with the newest hard drives and the quickest modems. We're doing an infrastructure scale upgrade, wireless inside. We're also upgrading our records management system, and we're upgrading it's called Spillman. It's an aided dispatch system that we use for both records management and for both dispatch. But the key thing about that is we're using that money to help us come into the 21st century by going totally paperless, which will give money back to the community in the sense that we won't be spending it on a bunch of this killing trees with paperwork. Everything will be in a computer system that we can draw down on and we can pass for approvals and things like that. So the money's being well used. It doesn't cost the city a penny. The officers that are involved in these task forces are funded through the asset forfeiture program. So it's kind of like a self-feeding circle, you might say, in terms of helping the police department. And the extra money that we get from it goes back into the community in terms of the things that I just explained to you that we spend to help fight crime in your community. Thank you, Councilwoman.
All right, thank you. Yes,
well, and again, I just wanted to clarify for the public's, just knowledge that we're not spending general fund, but it will be used for the police vehicles, correct? And only city vehicles, just to clarify that it's not going to be used for their own project. It's going to be used for our vehicles, correct?
Correct. It's not used for anything other, it cannot legally be spent for anything other than police department needs, period.
Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate it.
Thank you. At this point,
Mayor, again, just want to make a comment that our police's chief is working hard to make sure that our taxpayer dollars are spent very well. Thank you very much to you and your staff for doing that for us.
All right, thank you very much. At this point, we want to make a move for item 11. Councilmember Susan Rubio.
I'll second.
Any objections? See none, so move. I guess I'll make the move. All right, so at this point, I also want to move for items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. That's my motion for the consent calendar.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. All right, so at this point, we're going to go over to reports of officers. The one that we have is the potential municipal zoning code amendment relating to automobile towing and storage facilities. So at this point, unless anyone has questions,
Well, Amy is here if you have questions on the item. This is an item that the council considered several times in some study sessions, and it's back before you.
Yeah, and I think that this is, I don't really have much unless, other than it's going to be a good project. It's going to provide a whole new dwelling and a wall that's going to go right around that particular area. It's been a blighted area for many, many, many years, and I think that this is going to be an improvement for that particular area as well.
Mayor,
Yes,
I do have a question for staff in regard to, I guess, are they using the whole site for storage of vehicles, or kind of what is allowed there? I guess basically the question is what would be allowed for that area.
Are we talking about a specific property?
No, we're dealing with item 12.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which is the automobile.
Well, item 12 and the study session that came before you, Hadley Tow had talked about their property many times. So I think you're asking about that property.
Oh, okay. No, I'm
This
sorry.
would initiate a code amendment. It would apply to the Hadley Tow property.
Yes.
It would also apply to any property within the zone.
Right.
The city council had some concerns, and Amy's response was that if you do have the code amendment, you would require a CUP, and it would have the conditions in it that are listed in the staff report. They have to have screening, decorative block walls, and then you can only have these uses within 300 feet of each other, 3,000 feet of each other, so that you don't get a concentration of them in any one area.
Okay,
so
so
it would apply to the Hadley Tow site, but it does provide amendment to the code in general also.
All right.
Okay, so the whole zoning is what, across the freeway? I mean, my concern is that if we get a bunch of hodgepodge of, I don't know, somebody wants to open up an area just to park RVs or to park boats, not for sale, but just to store, storage containers, and along, by Big Dalton at the end of the street where there's big lots there, somebody buys it for the purpose of storing RVs, or another lot, further down. Potentially, I mean, now we're having LA Fitness there, but that lot, somebody could buy it and say, we're going to put, a bunch of storage vehicles, containers.
As I understand it, this potential code amendment is just for automobile towing and storage together as a business. It wouldn't be just to be able to have automobile storage on a lot. It would be actually combined together. So you would need to have a towing business and then the associated storage of towed vehicles at that location. That was my understanding as to what this potential code amendment would be. And that would, like I said, this would be within all of the industrial commercial zone. We do have some of that zone along the freeway. We also have it along Arrow Highway. However, I did, as the chief executive officer said, a 3,000-foot distance between any new businesses opening up to reduce concentration within the zone.
And Amy, this is industrial commercial.
Yes.
Versus a freeway commercial.
Yes.
Okay, so the site that you're referring to would not be in this zone.
Yeah, the oval site, the half of the oval site is not within the industrial commercial zone. It's within the freeway commercial zone.
Okay, all right.
Sets it apart.
Yeah, but I also want to clarify, the reason that came about, the change was that area was vacant for so many years, and the crime there was incredible. There was a fire that burned down the building. We had drug sales. It was incredible the time our police officers had to spend in that facility trying to combat that kind of crime. So we decided to move forward to allow the beautification of that corner, so at least we can get the crime out, the drug sales, the prostitution, and that's how it came to be. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Monica Garcia.
And this will be a discretionary review through the conditional use permit.
My recommendation, so that this is not a use that's permitted as a matter of right, that it would be a conditional use permit before the Planning Commission or the City Council on appeal.
So I do agree with you that this would be a business and then associated storage, and then that it would be a conditional use / discretionary review. And so if that is what is being presented tonight, then I will.
That's my understanding.
Then
yes.
I will move to approve that.
I second.
Okay, any objections? See none, so moved. Thank you. All right. At this point, we'll go over to item 13, which is the consideration of a potential proposal for services with the Cosmo Company. So who's handling this?
I'm sorry. Archie Davenport is here to give
Archie.
a review over their proposal. You saw a presentation from them about a month ago at a study session, and the council asked to see what a proposal would look like, and he's here to explain that to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, and executive staff, as well as the community. My name is Archie Davenport. I'm a vice president at Cosmont Companies. We've been in business for 30 years, providing economic, real estate, and financial advisory services to cities and public agencies throughout California. Really quick, I just wanted to ask if the City Council did have a copy of the proposal in front of them. Okay, excellent.
It's attached to the report, yes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So, real briefly, I just wanted to go over that the goal of this proposal would be to provide assistance to the city to create a retail attraction strategy, both to promote economic development, to improve the tenant mix in the city, both for the community, shops and restaurants, as well as increasing fiscal revenue for the city. As mentioned, we've worked with cities locally, both in Paramount, Alhambra, and Duarte, Azusa, and other cities throughout the San Gabriel Valley. So briefly, I'd go through our strategy with our Cosmont Retail Now service is tiered. It's to analyze, strategize, and implement. And in our first two tasks here, you would see that we'd have a kickoff meeting with the city, and that would begin an economic and a demographic analysis of the city. And I know that earlier there was in previous meetings, there's a very important question about demographic analysis, and after meeting with staff and the appropriate groups, we discovered that our analysis would focus on the spending patterns of residents and local in the city as well as regionally to see, so we would be able to discover who we are and who the other cities are in the region, so we could best come up with a strategy. We would go through and do a market supply and demand, which would describe what are the spending patterns, what's the spending potential for residents in the city. When they go out, are they going out alone? Are they going out with their family? How much are they spending? And basically matching those spending patterns with retail, restaurants that we can attract to the city. After those findings, we would meet with staff and meet with the council and present that in a PowerPoint presentation. And really that's where we get to get feedback from staff and from council as to what retailers you would like to see in the city, what type of development or what type of retail you'd like to see in the city. And that's our strategy session where we would focus on specific retail and also specific opportunity sites within the city that you'd like to see improvement in. And finally, looking at task 4, we would look at creating an economic development implementation plan. Again, we would present that to the city. But the real goal of all the analysis and the designing a strategy is to implement and actually bring in retail to attract economic development into the city. And so my colleagues, Ken Hira, who's the chairman of the board for the Western Division of the ICSC, which is a big retail group, we can go and meet with actual retailers and show them this data that would increase their interest in the city. So, I mean, briefly, that was the scope of services and the breadth of this proposal, and we would appreciate, the opportunity to continue to work with staff and refine the scope and bring it back to you at a future date. Thank you.
Mayor, I have some questions,
Yes,
please.
Councilmember.
I have several. We recently, or a few months ago, worked with a company called AIM, who took us up and down. Several of the council members met with them, with the representatives. They took us up and down Main Street in Ramona, where they wanted to see our input as to what we would like to see in the downtown area as far as retail. I want to know, we paid them, I believe, about $36,000. Maybe they're still on the payroll, I'm not sure. But I want to see what is different from what you're doing than what they brought or have brought to the, has there been a report that we can see?
Councilwoman Baca, if I could just, it's here. I don't think they're aware of that study, so they're just presenting within, hold on, but I agree with you. I think that staff needs to go back and look at their proposal and the accomplishments of AIM and what AIM is doing so that the tasks aren't overlapping. So I think that he's just presenting his services.
Oh, good.
But I would like to ask staff, obviously we can't approve this now, but I think staff needs to go back and analyze what the both services are, because Ames did a presentation to our committee, to Monica Garcia and myself, which you haven't seen yet, and some of it overlaps with kind of what they're doing. So I think staff needs to get together and with the city attorney and work out a contract so that they're not overlapping services, and see what it is we need that we can bring back to another meeting and kind of work it out from that point.
Well, I think that before we do a contract, I think that we need to take a look at that report that AIM came up with, if it hasn't been done yet. There's also one more concern that I have. In your proposal, on page 4, it says that the services will be invoiced monthly, which is typical. However, it says that we, apart from your fee of $50,000, we have to pay out-of-pocket expenses such as travel and mileage, provided that there shall be no overnight travel without the client's prior approval, and that mileage shall be reimbursed at Cosmont's normal mileage reimbursement rate of 54 cents per mile. Professional printing, conference calls, and delivery charges for messenger and overnight packages at actual cost, unless otherwise agreed to in advance. Out-of-area travel, if any, requires advance funding of flights and hotel accommodations. I would really like, and this is what we have asked of some of the other consultants that have worked with us, these fees are included in the overall fee that you are charging. That's what we have requested of the other consultants. So that concerns me, because apart from the $50,000 or whatever you'll be billing us monthly, we also have to look at these other expenses that you will be incurring.
Councilwoman Baca, I agree with you. I think that I think he's just putting a fee there. I think the task and the scope of work for their company and AIM still need to be negotiated with staff and work on the kinds of items you're talking about, as far as, it should be a not to exceed amount, including the cost that you're talking about. So, if I can make a motion at this point, you direct the city attorney to draft a contract that does not overlap with the AIM's current or future task, and the city to negotiate the contract between both groups to make sure they don't overlap, and bring it back to another council meeting. And also, I agree with you that AIM should probably come back at the next meeting and also do a presentation of the draft that they presented to Monica Garcia and herself in committee, so that you could see that.
Excuse me, I would really like to see, before we go into a contract mode, I would really like to see, first of all, for us to see a report and a presentation by AIM, right. And then at that point we can see what is overlapping, and it would be easier than to draft up a contract out of the clear blue sky. I mean, we don't know what AIM has done, and we're just assuming.
Yeah.
So I think that if we could have a presentation by the AIM representatives and see what have they done, what did they accomplish, and see what is not covered, so that we could then take a look at Cosmont and see what they're willing to negotiate with us outside of some of the other expenses that they want to incur.
Can I say that then, can we agree that Ames will come to the next council meeting and do a presentation?
Sure.
Can I add something here? Because I did hear from Ames, and we did have that committee meeting, and I did ask questions. And two items that you've mentioned here tonight that are a differentiator for your company would be the understanding the demographics, the even the leakage, and then also connecting us with businesses and retailers and acting almost as a broker. And those actually were three items that Ames specifically stated that they do not do. And so I would be very interested to see, move forward with the report, a study from staff to come back and let us know, highlight what Cosmont can do for us versus Ames, because I'm already seeing the differentiation, and I think that there's a lot of value in even what you presented here tonight, because that's one thing that I've said. Ames talked about a narrative, creating a narrative for our downtown and creating a place for our downtown. But part of that narrative is understanding the demographics. Who are the consumers in Baldwin Park? What is it? What will they consume? What will they support? And so that's such an important piece to the economic development piece, in downtown. So I want to move forward with your suggestion of having staff report back.
Okay, so my first motion was to have Ames come to the second meeting, which was agreed.
Yes.
Well, and my second motion was
Can I add
direct
something
the
to that
city.
before you make the motion? Is that okay? I have just one quick comment, because I know some of the services that you provide is bringing retailers to our community, correct? And so in order to do that, I would like to have an analysis attached to this that states how many vacant lots do we have, how much property we have to work with retailers, because if we don't have a lot of open available space, then doing that whole research analysis may not be worth our time, just because we don't have a lot of land to offer any retailers. So can we attach some kind of analysis that kind of talks about the land that we have that we can offer?
Okay. The studies that both companies are doing, they're somewhat different. You have to hear Ames part of it to understand what they do and how it connects with what Cosmont is doing. And as a part of it, because they talk about a market area being within a 5-mile radius. I mean, these are all the things that you got to hear from them, because I'm not saying it the way they'll talk about it. How it's not just Baldwin Park, how we have to go outside of our city to capture the market that's outside. Because people from Baldwin Park go to other cities, and that's called the retail leakage. And we have to learn we have to strategize how to attract that part. But I would like, the experts to come and explain it to you. And then it's not just, it's sort of like a living, moving sort of strategy that, that as we put the strategy together, then we know where to place certain retailers and who's interested in coming here, what type of or category of retailers. And then they will also address what you're talking about, Councilwoman Rubio, Susan, about, they'll come with a strategy and say, look, these are the areas that we think retailers would fit into, and that's kind of like a long-term.
So we're going back to, I'm requesting that we first start with AIM coming to give a report, because it's like we're out in the blue right now. I have no clue since I met with them. I believe it was like August or September of last year. And so I would really like to see what they're bringing to the table, what they found, including the demographics of Baldwin Park, because they did mention that to me. Bless you. They did mention the demographics and so forth that they were looking at and so forth of Baldwin Park. But I think in order to move forward and to be fair to you as well and your company, we need to see what we have available to us before we can move forward.
Okay, Mayor.
All right, Councilmember.
We've agreed on Ames coming next week.
Yes.
And so I made a motion.
The next city council meeting.
The next council
Yes, that's fine.
Can you clarify your motion just so we're clear?
Okay, so my motion was direct the city attorney to draft a contract that does not overlap with Ames' current or future task.
No, I disagree. I
thought I know you do, but that was my motion.
Yes,
so.
I know that's your motion, but I oppose it, because we need to start first of all with a report from AIM before we move forward with any contracts. So I really feel strongly that before we start spinning our wheels, we need to know where to spin them.
Okay, so at this point, there's a motion on the floor by Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. It was actually one objection. So at this point, Madam City Clerk, roll call. Yeah, go ahead. You're opposed, right?
Seconded. I
You
had seconded earlier.
Was there one objection?
Yes.
Okay, one objection.
Well, I don't know if there's just one objection.
Okay, so at this point, Ricardo Pacheco.
Yes, yes, I'm
made a motion for the particular areas that we're going to bring back, and of course Ames, and there was a second by Vice Mayor Monica Garcia. Then there was one objection. Am I correct? Okay, so at this point we're going to go out and roll call. City Clerk or City Treasurer Maria Contreras. Let's go and do roll call.
Councilmember Pacheco?
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mayor Patem. Monica Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz Baca?
No.
Councilmember Susan Rubio?
I just want to say no, but I really need to say that I think the problem we're having is specifically what she mentioned, that the company that we're bringing to bring a report to let us know what they're doing already have had a contract, they already been paid, and we still don't know what they're doing for us. So that presents a conflict when we don't know what we're paying for. So I can see the value of seeing that report before moving forward with the new company, so we can see what they have provided. Why did we pay those $32,000, and see how we can move forward. And perhaps you can do more for us. But in order to do that, we need to know what we paid the last guy for. Do you understand? So it's not personal, but I'd like to see the first report as well. Thank you.
So your vote is no?
Yes. No.
Okay. All right. No.
Mayor Lozano?
Yes. The motion passes 3-2. All right. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and go to item. Excuse me. All right. So at this point, we're going to go into.
Wait a minute. Wait. I am extremely confused. So we are directing, or you are directing, our attorney to make a contract which he has no idea what he's doing? Other than it's not going to overlap what? When we have no report. We don't know what it's overlapping because we've never heard the report. That's what I don't understand. What will the contract say?
Okay, your staff is going to work with them because they've been working with them and they know what Ames has been doing, and they know what they've been talking to them. So they've been having the conversations. They're going to bring it all to the next meeting. And if you don't like it, you can vote no or yes. I mean, at that point, everything's going to be explained to you.
But we never got a chance to see or to hear the report. It's been I met with Mr. Perez and the other gentleman back in August or September. I've yet until right now when I happened to get my package and I saw your contract and really it's nothing personal. I just need to look at these contracts like I always do and see what are we overlapping, what are we repeating ourselves and not really accomplishing anything. So my question is that I don't think it's fair to us as council members to come in blindly and not know what the report is.
Well, I think what we've directed the city attorney to do is to enter into a discussion with Cosmont.
Stop interrupting, please.
To enter into a discussion with Cosmont as to the scope of work for a contract and pricing. Bring that back to us so that we can review it and make sure that there's no overlap with Ames. And as I stated earlier, there are 3 differentiators that are important to me with Cosmont and what you've just presented today. And these are specific items that Ames stated they do not do. And again, one would be understanding the demographics of our community beyond the census demographics. I mean, real consumer demographics. 2, understanding the leakage of our community, because we do have a report, but I understand that it's very outdated. So we need to understand the leakage. 3rd, putting us in touch with brokers and retailers, because that's something that Ames does not do. Those are 3 very important pieces to an economic development plan that Ames does not provide. So the direction to the city attorney is to go back, look at a contract, scope of work, dollar amount, and make sure that there is no overlap with Ames. That's what I understand, and that's what I seconded.
All right. Okay, so at this point,
Mayor,
yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I need
fine.
to clarify this. Also, we have not discussed that the services that we have to pay extra apart and above and beyond the $50,000 that they are charging, That has not been discussed or negotiated, that we will not pay those services, that it would be all-inclusive with what they had originally said.
Mayor, hold on. No, the direction was to go back and negotiate, so that means they may not get 50,000, they may get less, and they may, and if, through the negotiation process, include what you're saying, that they either put a not to exceed or they pay for it themselves within their whole program. You know, I don't.
It's right
I don't know
here. He
where
can
they need
tell
to
us right now
salvage
if he's
it.
willing to do that. I mean,
Okay, so at this point right now, the direction has been given. It's going to be brought back. We will be discussing it publicly and go from there.
Right.
So if there's decisions or disagreements, then we'll take it at that particular time. So just
Yeah,
want to
just to make
yes,
clear that
go
we're
ahead.
not approving what he's presenting, the $50,000 contract. We're just, it's going to be negotiated. That's what we're
Right.
saying.
We haven't even identified the scope of
redefine the
work.
scope
We're
of work and renegotiate the whole contract.
All right. Okay, so at this point, we're going to move forward. All right, so we're going to go to item number 14, excuse me, 17, right? 14, excuse me. Consideration of an exclusive negotiation agreement ENA with the MJW Investment LLC for a proposed transit. Oh, got it. All right, approval of resolution number 2016-107 entitled Resolution of the City Council of the City of Baldwin Park appointing representatives. And I'll try, let's bring this back. Let's to the following city council meeting. Okay, that's my motion.
Which one?
Item number 14 for the committees.
14?
Yes.
Okay, that's
All
fine.
right.
I
So
second.
that's my motion. Is there a second? Any objections? See none, so move. All right, so item 15, which is a review of current commissioners and considerations, appointments, reappointments, or removal of members of the various city commission. So I'll make a motion to have everyone reapply and send it out.
Well, Mayor, let me
That's
just
what we'll do.
make
On
a
15?
motion. I'll make the motion here. It's I move to remove all commissioners from their respective commissions and to post the vacancies pursuant to the Mindy Act. The appointments to occur at the March 16 regular meeting. Tomorrow they should be posted, and within 20 days, do your background checks and then bring it back to the March 16th meeting.
All right, I'll second.
I just have a quick comment, but I think traditionally, and this has just been historically, we never do all of them because just like the council members, there's always election for 2 and then 2, and it's always uneven because you'll need to have someone in charge that has institutional knowledge. You just don't get 5 new people potentially that may not have information to move forward. Just like the council is elected every 2 years, 2 different council members, you always want to have someone behind that knows how the system works. So I think that I would make a motion, if you want to do that, to maybe do 3, so you always have someone in there that knows what they're doing.
All right, so at this point, there's the motion.
I made a motion.
Okay, I'll second. Any objections?
Yes.
Okay, one objection. Madam City Clerk, at this point, recall. Roll call. What's that? Oh, yeah. We're going to, real quick, before I forget, we're going to exclude, because we just placed a student on there, so we're going to leave the individuals on there.
Okay, we'll exclude the
students.
student
Then
on
the
motion.
exception of them. All right, so at this point, City
Councilmember
Treasurer.
Pacheco,
Yes.
Mayor Lozano,
Yes.
Councilmember Baca,
No.
Councilmember Susan Rubio.
I'm sorry, I have to make a comment. I would like to ask Amy from if there's anything pending by removing these folks. Is there anything that would fall through the cracks, anything that's on the agenda that perhaps is time sensitive that we need to deal with before we do this?
Well, I now have a code amendment to allow automobile towing storage uses in the code. Whatever the council directs, however the vote comes out, I'll make it work.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
what I do.
All right, so let's get back to the voting. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Monica Garcia.
Yes.
All right, so the motion passes 3-2. Your vote was no, am I correct?
Yes, I'll say
Okay,
no.
the vote was 3-2. All right, so the vote it moves forward with the request, the amendment by Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco. All right, so at this point, we're going to go over to the council. The first one that we have is consideration of an exclusive negotiating agreement, ENA, with the MJW Investment LLC for a proposed transit-oriented residential development project between Badillo Street and Ramona Boulevard. All right, who's handling?
This is an item I discussed earlier. The city council had seen a study session by the developer regarding these two sites at least twice within the last couple months, and staff was directed to bring back these 6 months E&Es for consideration. During that time, the developer will do analysis of the site, submit financial feasibility studies, market studies, and all of this will be at no cost to the city. And after that 6 months, the developer would return with a proposal to the city and possibly ask for a DDA, which would be the next step, which would include purchase and development of the properties if it were to proceed. Matt Walken is here. He gave the presentations, and he's also available if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Can we have him give a summary of these two projects, if you don't mind, Councilwoman?
Yeah, can you do the summaries together for both of those?
I can,
Yeah,
sure.
all right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Members of the City Council. Thank you for having me back tonight. So you'd like me to run through both of them concurrently? Mayor?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the first project that we were talking about for consideration is the site on the corner of Badillo and Ramona with the red car structure. So when I presented this at the study session to you guys last month and back in 2014, we planned for sale townhome projects on the site. One of the comments that council provided for us and that staff asked us to look toward is to save the structure that's on that property and either rehabilitate it into a functioning building or some type of an amenity for the project. So we are going to take that into consideration. That's built into the E&A, and we're in agreement on that. We've done that already on a couple of sites, one in Claremont and another one in Upland, where they've had some older buildings and up on Baseline, and we found a way to incorporate those into the common area or rehabilitate them and turn them into a community center. So we look forward to working with the city staff on this project, and we're fully aware of what staff and council would like us to look into with the red building, and we plan on doing that. In response to the project across from City Hall. This is a concept that we came up with again back in 2014 and presented to you. At that point in time, staff directed us and council directed us that it wasn't the appropriate time, and so we continued to pursue it and to see if the project was potentially available. We brought it back to you guys, and you recommended that we come before you tonight. I want to make this clear. What the cities are doing, and I know you're talking with Cosmont. I respect Cosmont a lot, and they do some fantastic work as far as studies are concerned. But what a company like Cosmont would tell this council is that to reinvigorate and to bring fresh retail to a downtown area, you need residents and you need disposable income. And you need a market rate development project, and that's what this project contemplates. And also what it contemplates is this is a transit-oriented development, and we're working on transit-oriented developments. We have one under construction in West Hollywood. We're working on one in Arcadia, on one in Monrovia. We also have 2 projects under construction in those cities. We're working on one in Claremont, and we're working on one in Duarte. And we really understand the transit-oriented component of what the cities need. And these projects and these sites in this particular area, this site's not a pure retail site. This site is a residential site that is going to take advantage of the transit location and the downtown civic center location. And what I heard loud and clear from council in previous study sessions was that at one point in time this site was contemplated for a civic center or civic plaza to be developed. And what we want to do is work closely with staff and closely with council to incorporate a civic center, civic plaza area into this project that connects to City Hall and provides connectivity between the 2 projects and the transit area. And we think we can have the best of both worlds. And you know, furthermore, what we're asking for is to do all of this at our cost and expense, and then to pay the city fair market value for the property. So we're not looking for anything for free. In fact, we're willing to invest all the time and money to work with staff and council to design a project, and the community to design a project which will work for everybody. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys have.
I have a question.
Sure.
Will you also be doing a traffic study? Because in both locations that you have, especially the one where the red car, I consider that the red brick building.
Correct.
Because of the train, the traffic is so congested there in the morning and at 3 o'clock. I've been arguing this for many, many years. Downing, Bogart, Alderson are backed up all the way, bringing in another 50-some units, you said? Is that what you said for the townhouses there?
For the townhouses?
Yes.
On the red brick building?
Yes.
No, about 20.
Okay, 20. That means that's 40 more cars that are going to be going in and out of there with the train stopping. It starts at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's every 20 minutes until about 11 o'clock or 10:30 or 10:07. From then on, it starts back up again at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and it's every half hour then. So the traffic is extremely congested. You please do a traffic study. Please reach out to the community, because the previous person that was interested in it and had an ENA did not reach out to the community. It's very important to have community meetings and to outreach to the community and the residents. I live right near there.
Right.
And the previous developer never approached me outside of seeing me at a council meeting. I would like to see a traffic study. I would like to see community outreach. And I would do it all the way to about a 5-mile radius, believe it or not, because it's going to impact the businesses around there. It's going to impact everyone coming through Ramona Boulevard and the train.
And I can respond to that. First off, in response to the traffic study, we can't develop a site in a downtown, transit-oriented or urban downtown area without conducting a traffic study. It's part of the environmental review. We're absolutely going to have to look into traffic. And secondly, in regard to the neighborhood outreach, in the city of Claremont, where we're working on a project, I've had 6 community meetings in the last 4 months. In San Dimas, where I'm working on an equestrian facility redevelopment, I've had 8 community meetings in the past 12 months. In the city of Whittier, where we're working on a rezone of a commercial site into a townhome and small lot development, I've had 5 community meetings in the last 3 months, and I've met with the Chamber, the Rotary, and the Uptown Business Association. So we move toward working with the community and meeting with them right away. I know there's a lot of people that are very interested in this site and very passionate about it, and we'll get the names of the people that want to meet, and we'll conduct community meetings. We're very adept at that. It's no problem.
Thank you.
Well, I have a couple of comments. Well, it does make me really sad to see that we're exploring this, and for many reasons, because unless you were vested in these community meetings and heard what the community had to say, it's really hard to place value on this land when you heard the enthusiastic residents say, if I remember correctly, one resident said specifically, we don't want it, we deserve it. And as everyone knows, I mean, this is 6.7 square miles, and we don't have enough open space, not like other communities. You look at Monrovia, the neighboring city, they have approximately 35,000 residents, and they're like about 13 square miles. We have half of that square mileage, and we have almost 3 times the residents. And so when we started with this project 2 years ago, I want you to keep in mind, the area doesn't exist. It's currently not available. If you look across the street, there's nothing there, and the space is not available. It's been like that since the incorporation in 1956. It's not available. So we started exploring 2 years ago, and the reason that it wasn't available, because a lot of people don't know this, a little parcel, I mean, very small parcel belonged to the school district. That's why we didn't have liberty to build on it. We didn't have the liberty to explore with a developer. So when we started this, I went to the school district, and now the specific purpose of them donating, or I don't know what word they use, but assigning that parcel, allocating that parcel to us, was that we went to explain to them the value to our kids, to our community, and that's why they gave us that little parcel. I'm not sure they would feel the same way if we went to them and say, give us that piece of land for 72 apartments. I'm not sure they would be happy with that. For them to give us that little parcel and for us to turn around and make, profit on it. Now, it's a really, really tiny parcel, but without that parcel, there is no development. And I feel like we misled the school district, and it's been 2 years in the making. And I know that bringing, like you said, market value and money. Sometimes we have to put more value on the residents and their needs. And I think it's a little short-sighted because I believe that if we bring the plaza there, everything else will go around it. Property values will come up, especially when I think of all the residents on Main Street. They would be staring at this beautiful open park. If we bring those 72 apartments, they're going to be staring at the back of apartments. And I know that you want to incorporate a plaza, and I get that, and I appreciate it. But when I look at the proposal, it seems to me that 50% is parking lot versus a plaza. The plaza that you're proposing incorporates the street. We don't have kids playing on the street. And, I don't know if you remember your proposal, there's a little plaza in the front. But again, it incorporates the street. That is not a plaza versus the entire space. Another thing that we got from the community meetings, they were really upset at me. They were really, really upset. A lot of the members said that they were really upset that I was closing Main Street because that's how they get from Main Street to the freeway. And I sat there and we explained to them that yes, it is going to be an inconvenience, but think of the value it's going to give to your children, to your community, to your property values. And after much tug of war, I was able to make them see that closing the street is an inconvenience. It is going to make it harder for them to get to work, to get to school, but then I finally got to see, for them to see the value. And for now to undo all of that work for 2 years, and we've already almost spent, $500,000 on this project. We're not in the business of throwing money away. And just to be clear, it is not general fund. It came out of a Quimby account, which is designated for open space. So now we created the space. We got the school district to give us that little parcel, and now we're turning around and just giving it ENA. I just think we're selling our community short. Thank you, Mayor.
This was going
Mayor?
to be the other.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The other thing, and I think we had mentioned it to you before, was that this was going to be not only a civic plaza, but it was going to be an art walk. It was going to be where there could be the Christmas tree lighting. It could be where there could be functions throughout the community, awards being given there. Maybe some of the high school honors awards could be there. There were a lot of things that have been designated for this particular plaza. And it was one stage that was going to be done first. There were 3 stages that had originally been thought of. I don't know if you saw any of the plans, but the first stage was the one that we were really concentrating on, which would have been the plaza to have the tree lighting and all the functions that I really do believe that our residents deserve. Not that we don't have other parks, we definitely do, but we really needed a plaza where people sort of get together and have a cup of coffee and have a sandwich. We had some restaurants already. We were thinking of bringing in retail at the opposite end. So it would be something where the people that work here at City Hall could cross the street and have a nice lunch at one of the benches. We could have music, jazz, or something like that of the arts. It was basically going to concentrate on the arts.
And one of the other things that I want to add, is most cities have like an iconic area that you relate to that community. We don't have that type of area. And again, unless you're in the meetings, you don't understand all the planning that went into it. We were going to have this iconic tower with Baldwin Park with lights shooting out so people from the metro can actually see our community. We wanted to have chalk art competitions on the weekend so people could come and spend their tax dollars here in our community. We were going to have already pre-made pillars for our high school kids to come and exhibit their art. Usually we don't have a venue for them to come and say, look at my art. And it was going to be open on the weekends. The pillars were already going to be pre-made where they just come on the weekend and display their art. We were going to have, there's so many things that we can sit here and it would take, again, it was 2 years of planning, so we don't have the time to explain to everyone the benefit of this Park Plaza. And again, I believe that if we started with the Park Plaza, everything around it would grow. Exactly what you're sharing, that, that's what we need to make it a transit-oriented. I truly believe that if you have that centerpiece, everything else around it would improve. And I think 72 apartment buildings doesn't say, come join us, let's grow our city. It doesn't say that. It says, and second, give me a second. And then I also think of City Hall. City Hall is going to be encapsulated between the Rome project and this building. At some point, we have to start looking at how we make our community a little bit better. And I get it. I never said your project was not aesthetically pleasing. It is nice. But, we have to, at some point, we have to put the money value aside. I think of what we were doing earlier today. We were just boasting at how great our staff was at getting the funding for the Walnut Creek. When we started that project, we had zero money. Now we got millions and millions of dollars through grants, and Dan was very creative in getting grants. When we talk about the money will come. We just have to have a will to have it there. And I think that, again, we're not seeing the big picture. We have something beautiful there, everything else will come.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Ricardo.
I just like to add some statements. First of all, in the article in the paper was inaccurate in that one of the major issues with the park is the stall is that there's no money. There is no money coming down the pipeline. It's $4.5 million to build this park. We do not have, and there are not grants at that level to fund the park that is going to be put out there. Okay. Also, these items were brought here by a full council at a special study session. It was a 5-0 vote to bring it here. So it wasn't just, Ricardo voting by himself. I'm not, the king of Baldwin Park. It was all the council members brought it here. I want to make it clear that that's how this came here for discussion. This park project is going to be incorporated, or the Civic Center will be incorporated with this project also. It is a funding source. By doing this project, the funding source will be there to be able to incorporate the Civic Center that we all want to do and desire. And that's why I'm supporting this project, because it will bring several things. One, the funding for the Civic Center. Two, I just had residents here early talking about we need to have revenue. They consistently come every day to this meeting talking about how much revenue we should have. This will bring sales tax, it will bring property tax, and it will bring the Civic Center that we want here in this city. So it addresses all the concerns that a lot of citizens come here and talk about. And this is what we need. The synergy that we need also is to, as most people in economic development, and if you go to towns like Monrovia, like Pasadena, like Covina on Citrus Avenue, they're all building a lot of mixed use around the downtown, because that creates the market that you need to be able to bring in the type of retail that a lot of us desire to have here in this city. A lot of the consultants that have come here to talk to us, and as you'll see in the next few meetings, that Baldwin Park is in a key location to be able to bring in all these different people that would like to come here. People from 5 miles out would come to Baldwin Park if we had the right mix of retail here. That's why they go to the other communities, and that's why these communities are so affluent, because they've got the stores, the malls, everything that Baldwin Park does have. We're always afraid in this city to make change, to really move in the right direction. It always comes in and everybody has this fear, but let's look at this. The Walburn Company is a very well funded company. They go a lot of prominent cities to do the projects. Baldwin Park is now primed to be able to bring projects that the residents have asked for and that the residents want. If we want to build parks, that's another item and another issue that'll come up after this discussion. But Baldwin Park doesn't have any more open park space, and the avenue, which we'll talk about later, is looking at the schools and working with the schools. And when that topic comes up, I'll talk about some of the opportunities that we have there. But coming back to this Civic Center, this project, it brings a lot of future development. When developers begin to see you have their own project, you have the project here with the Civic Center, and it creates a synergy that a lot of the community will the development community will look at Baldwin Park, and a lot of them themselves will be here. One of the main things and the criticism that they said about a previous developer that we had here was that the city was giving away the land. Okay, here's an opportunity where the developer is saying, I'm going to pay you for the land. We're going to give you the sales tax that you want and the property tax and the Civic Center. So we get it all in one program, and that's why I'm supporting this program. Thank you.
Mayor,
yes.
I have one thing that I would like for you to consider, please.
Mm-hmm.
When I see congestion, I think, where are the children going to go to school? Have we considered how many more children can fill our schools that are probably already at capacity? Is our infrastructure, is it strong enough to withhold another 70-some apartments? Our streets and our roads, all those extra cars being on our streets and our roads, and above all, that I am such an advocate of, do we have enough police officers to be able to take on all those extra people that are coming into our city? And where are we going to get the money for that? With all this revenue that we're bringing in, will we be able to hire more police officers and to accommodate all these children and the infrastructure that needs to probably be taken care of in Baldwin Park, because it's very old in some of the sections. And Mr. Masabi knows that, who's sitting back there, that some of the infrastructure here is in bad condition. So I'm just giving you some food for thought. Thank you.
I just want to clarify
Yes.
on the price, and I know that it was reported what the price was. What we did is we broke it up into 3 phases. We never expected to raise that kind of money and get that kind of funding. That is why specifically we broke it up into 3 phases. The first phase would be the actual plaza. The second phase, which is also included in the price, and it sounds like a lot of money, which it is, was buying a building that's on Ramona to open up the passageway so people could come from Ramona to the Park Plaza. But that includes buying a building, which we had no intention of doing it right this minute. That was just the vision for the future, to connect Ramona with all the businesses with the park. We had envisioned all the businesses on Ramona to open the back way to the park, like King Taco, and they were willing to set up, let's say, benches on the other side, so it becomes a community park. You know, I know that we're talking about the school fields, we're talking about Morgan Park, but we spent 2 years designing this so it would be everything that Morgan Park is not. Morgan Park is more designed for organized sports. You know, you're never going to see a couple of elderly people walking around. You're not going to see our youth on laptops doing homework, research. You're not going to see just, kids reading and enjoying history, because that's another element that we failed to mention. You know, we had incorporated history. It would have little passageways that would have the history of Baldwin Park at every step of the way. Kids would be reading different sections of, how the city came to be, the first settlers, and that kind of stuff. So like I said, we spent 2 years, so it would be so much to give to you right now in terms of the benefit. That was 2 years that we discussed. So much, but again, we did it with the intent of being everything that Morgan Park is now. We wanted people to come and congregate, just, hang out with friends. Again, for me, being a teacher, I can see the benefit for kids sitting there on benches. It was designed with benches, pathways, so kids could sit with their laptops and really enjoy nature. And again, it's too little time to explain, but 2 years of work, very specifically designed to meet the needs of our community, specifically designed for our community to want to come and hang out. We don't have those kind of spaces here. I don't see neighbors getting together in a spot, and that was going to be the spot to bring our community together, give the city identity. And I talked to you about the big Baldwin Park 3D, structure. There's so much to that plaza. It's not a park. It's a plaza for our community. And with that, I'm just going to say, yes, you're saying that we are afraid of change, but we could have started in 1956. We started this change when we had already designed the plaza, spent 2 years on the plaza, talked to the communities about the plaza, and we took their input. Change would have been 2 years ago when we haven't spent $500,000 on it, and we didn't get the community excited about it. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, if I may have a
Councilmember
floor
Ricardo
amendment.
Pacheco.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed exclusive negotiating agreement for a proposed transit-oriented residential. I'm sorry, I'm talking right now.
Do not interrupt.
Okay, Mayor, I'm sorry. I
Please
can't
stop.
have these interruptions.
All right, go ahead.
Approve the proposed exclusive negotiating agreement for a proposed transit-oriented residential condominium development project located at the intersection and between Badilla Street to the south and Ramona Boulevard to the north. And authorize the mayor to execute the agreement.
Okay, so that's consent calendars. That's both of them together.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember,
Councilman-
we do
Council?
need to have public hearing on this, public comment on this before.
Yes.
Open it up
And
for
you know
public.
what? I didn't comment on it. There were others taking up the time.
Go ahead. Then I'll open it up to.
I just want to go back to several years ago, and when we started looking at these sites as opportunity sites for economic development, for our transit-oriented district. And there was a vision there, and we floated the vision to, people who were interested in being partners to the city. And for various reasons, the economics just didn't pan out. Maybe a project didn't pencil out. And so that vision just kind of fell to the wayside. And I think that we have an opportunity across the street. We have an opportunity even behind Via Mar. I mean, there are all these small little sites that could be opportunities. And I don't want to see those, kind of go flat on us. And I love the idea that we have an interested partner who is willing to put up their own funds, study the feasibility of this, bring it back to us, consider the the community's input, look at the documents, the input that was provided for the Civic Plaza. I mean, we have an ideal partner here, and I'm excited about moving forward with an ENA. I think that there's so much potential, to get the win-win. And it's not about just one site. It's about creating a downtown that is thriving, that has a good synergy. And if I look in front of our city hall, why isn't there, potential to have similar elements of what you're just describing here at this site, which is so underutilized? And why wouldn't it be able to connect to the new development that we were seeing with Rome? And why couldn't we then connect it to this potential project that would bring disposable income? If you look at Monrovia, how many of us love to go to Monrovia? And, I remember going there in the 90s when there was just like one little coffee shop and random little stores. Nobody was there. And what the city did was they took this movement to bring in higher density projects that brought in people, that, encouraged people to come in and spend and live and spend their money in the downtown area. And why can't we have that here? We have a beautiful transit-oriented, we have this Metrolink here, and we now have this parking structure. And so there are all these great elements, and I think that this is just one opportunity. And I'd love to move forward with the ENA, see what you have to put together for us, see what makes sense for us, incorporate some of the elements that were discussed during this whole Civic Plaza. This was an initiative that I think I abstained from that because I believed that it would be a lost opportunity for us. And so I'm glad that we have a willing partner, somebody who's who's bringing the different elements that I'd love to see in our downtown, and I'm excited to see what you put together for us.
Well, I know what comment just
I'm
real
going to open up
quickly.
the public hearing, but real quick, because it mentioned, excuse me?
Mayor,
Public comment, excuse me.
can I make one more comment, please?
Go ahead.
When we started this plaza, we did have the Rome in mind. That's when we had just approved the Rome project, and we knew that it would bring so many more people to our community and so much more density. So when we designed the park, that was what we had envisioned for the Rome project to complement the plaza, so people would have a place to walk their dogs and just come down and buy food without having to drive. And so we did have in mind, and I do work in Monrovia. A lot of you know that I've been working there for 15 years, and I did see it grow. But one of the things they did do, they opened up this, the library was already there, but they invested so much money in the beautiful library that they have in the heart of that downtown with the beautiful fountain. So it's not like it's all buildings and retail. They opened up that beautiful space, and if you walk through there, one of the things we did with our entire team, we took a bus to all the parks, including Monrovia, and that's where we got all our ideas from the benches to the elevation, and we went to downtown LA to get, the best ideas from that park in downtown LA. We went to like 5 maybe. And so it wasn't like we just came up with ideas out of nowhere. We really did specifically go out to different sites, communities that were thriving like Monrovia, and that's where we got the idea for little pocket benches for kids to read and hang out. That's what we got the idea from the history of Baldwin Park from another park that we went. They had these little signs where they would talk about the history of the city, the mayors. I mean, the possibilities were endless. So we did take the best of all the parks that we visited to incorporate into this area. So yeah, Monrovia was an inspiration. The park was there and everything else grew around it because I've been there 15 years. I saw it grow, but they still have that beautiful plaza in front of the library with the fountain, with benches, with trees. They're not just encapsulated with a bunch of buildings. They needed that open space. But anyhow, just wanted to let you guys know that we did take
I'm
Monrovia.
going to open up the public comment, but just real quick.
May I comment on that, though?
Real quick.
Because I'm very familiar with that. If Councilmember Rubio and Councilmember Baca, I know that you're passionate about this. And what I'm trying to say is, this is what I've come in before and brought to you guys, and what's before you now is just our initial concept, and we came up with a lot of images for what the Civic Plaza could be as part of this. This project could shrink a little bit from a density standpoint. That'll lower the land value, but we can enlarge it to incorporate some of the things that you want. But I grew up in Arcadia, and I'm very familiar. I've done dozens of projects in Monrovia, and I know the staff and the council very well. And the city of Monrovia didn't take the Paragon apartment site and turn that into a public plaza. They sold that to a developer who built a 200-unit multifamily project on it, which invigorated all of Myrtle Avenue in downtown and created synergy and brought people and disposable income. And then they started gaining the tax dollars, and they took an existing park, like the park that's only a half a block away from this site, and they enhanced that park. Morgan Park's right there. That park could be revitalized with the funds used from the purchase of this land, the acquisition price that I'm going to pay for this land, and the money that comes in from the development project. So that's what Monrovia did. They took an existing park and they enhanced it and improved it. They didn't take a site that was ripe for development to bring people into the downtown and turn that into an additional park. That's my only comment on that. And that's
But you know what? The funding for the park came from tax dollars, and I know because I have a lot of friends who live there, and they're being taxed heavily to maintain that park. And we don't have that kind of disposable incomes. Our families don't have that disposable income for us to be able to tax them like Monrovia did, so we can sustain the parks. Like I said, this is an opportunity to have that little space, and it's a small pocket. I invite everyone to walk outside and see the type of space we're talking about. It's a little area. And so again, yes, we can revitalize Morgan Park, but it takes money, and we've already spent almost $500,000 designing this park. So, I mean, at some point, we have to take the funding that we've already spent into consideration. And I'm not willing to tax our taxpayers a little more to revitalize Morgan Park when we have this already in the works.
Okay, so I think the project is definitely, and I'm glad you said that we're incorporate. What's going to happen, we're going to overlap, because we're not about to wait another 10, 15 years to get the additional $4 million to complete this project. So I think you coming in here, incorporating what you stated will be good. I mean, and it's important for this particular community. And it was mentioned about the school district. For the past 3 years, the school district has gone down in enrollment. So that won't be a problem if there's additional people. And hopefully some of the ones going in there are residents from Baldwin Park. So I think that it's a win-win situation for everyone. And I'm excited about it. And of course, I know you're going to provide input and allow community input as well. So I think it'll be nice. So at this point, I'm going to open up
Mayor,
for public comment.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Just one thing, I'm sorry. And I'm surprised that you say this, because at several of our street fairs this past summer, you did agree that you loved the idea of the Civic Plaza.
You mean the Civic Plaza here?
Yes, you did.
Absolutely.
About building the park. About building the park and the idea and the design and everything that had been, you did announce at several of our street fairs in front of a microphone that you were very excited about that Civic Plaza that was going to be built.
I'm not going to wait next 5-10 years for $4 million. I'm not going to do that. Unless you bring it next week, then I'll tell you I'll support it. I'm not going to wait.
You don't understand that it's being done in stages. The $4 million doesn't have to come tomorrow, like you said, out of thin air.
Lord,
Hey, Mayor, let's continue with
we're going to be here all night, you guys. Come on. Let's open up the
please.
public comment. Okay, let's open it up. Hopefully we're out of here by 1 o'clock. All right, go ahead. Hey, Al, thank you. This is
Good
public
morning,
comment
Mr.
regarding
Mayor.
the particular
Thank you,
subject.
City Attorney, for reminding our mayor that we do have a public speech and we do have public comments. And I do have one. On SA 16, I don't know if anyone or everyone, you should be aware that that red car building, or I call it that red brick building, it's a historical building. It cannot be demolished. It has to be preserved. That I was told at the time that you, Mr. Mayor Lozano, myself, we were planning commissioners over 20 years ago. So whatever you guys decide to do, my request of you guys to do, as is mentioned with this gentleman, I don't know his name or anything about him, is that the initial concept, as he mentioned, must include this red car building. I call it the brick red building, must be incorporated, and it cannot be torn down. So it has to be used, and it has to be preserved, and it has to be protected. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, moving along. Thank you.
Margarita Vargas. You know, I'm upset because I envisioned the park across the street. I look myself sitting in a bench under a tree, reading a book, the way that we talk about it. And one of the things, first of all, you need to know if the district is going to agree to give you that little triangle where the flag used to be. Because I remember, like Councilman Rubio said, they were agreeing to give it to the city for the park. I don't know what they're going to, say if you say you're going to build the apartments. And then I don't see the apartments over here, and then the apartments over here is going to be, I don't know, too claustrophobic for the way that we want it to be. So I think that you should think about it. They do apartments go in another part of the city, not in the downtown area. I don't think it would look good for Baldwin Park. And then the brick wall, the brick building, that's what I thought when they were talking about it. It's a landmark. I remember that. So I'm glad that Mr. Contreras said that we cannot destroy that building. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, moving along with public communication.
Hello, City Council and public. You people have number 13, number SA 16, SA 17, then you have Rome. How many developers are you going to put in this city? You don't have so-claimed space, but it seems to me you just passed this one that Mr. Pacheco pushed. What's the matter with you, Mr. Pacheco? You're throwing my money away, bud. Everybody here that lives in this city pays taxes so you can throw it away. You know, I'm going to say it. It seems like these people are buying you instead of you telling them to bring tax money to us. This is our city.
You're going to stay. We need you to stay. We need you to stay on the subject.
We've got these 3 developers in here, and all of them want money. Have you brought us any money? No.
Mr. Miller, you're going to stay on the subject. Thank you.
I would just like to remind the audience this public communication is only for these 2 items that are on the Housing Successor Agency, which are SA 16 and SA 17.
Thank you. My name is Martin Herrera. I'm a resident here in Baldwin Park. I just want to again reiterate my support for this ENA. I understand members of the community are entrenched in a process, a plan that was approved for the use of this space, for the public space, the open space. I understand it's very dear to you, and I fully support that too. But I also support this because I really do feel we really need to be fiscally prudent and look at the highest best use for this property. And I would support a higher density in the downtown area where I feel it is most appropriate. We have businesses along Ramona Boulevard that I find very charming. And I want to make this town my home for many, many years. And it's going to remain appealing to me if these businesses stay here. And they will only stay here if they have enough residents here with disposable income to spend in their stores. And this city will benefit from the increased property values that the higher density will bring. The businesses will benefit from the sales in their stores. The city will benefit from the increased sales tax collection. So this is a win-win. I don't hear anybody in this room abandoning the thought of open space in the civic area. What I'm hearing is that we want to incorporate that into this higher density. There's no abandoning. I don't see a loser here. We're not going to just get rid of the public space. We want to add to it. And I think that's a bold thing that we're doing here, and I encourage you to support it. I encourage the developers to be bold in their plans to wow us, but also to be considerate too. Be mindful that we want to be cognizant of the traffic in the area. Okay? This is a great area for density because of our transit. We have the Metrolink right there. And we want to support that lifestyle of people commuting to work using the train, and they're going to do it if they live close to it. And so this is where that density needs to be. And so, again, it's a long night. But I just want you to encourage you to support this so that 180 days from now, hopefully we will have had more community discussion about this project, that we can garner some more community support for it, and then make a decision at that time, not now. Let's not make a decision now. In 180 days, let's make a decision if that is the best place we need to be and continue forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, moving on with public communication.
Translation, she's like.
Yeah. Gracias por darnos la oportunidad de hablar. Es nuestro derecho, pero gracias por recordarlo.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. It's all right, but thank you for...
Estoy verdaderamente preocupada. Ese edificio significa mucho para la comunidad de Baldwin Park, el edificio rojo.
I'm very worried. That building, the red building, means a lot to the community of Baldwin Park.
Sé que necesitamos viviendas en nuestra comunidad. Hay mucha gente que vive en garage.
I know we need more living space in our community. I know there's people that live in garages.
Necesitamos reestructurar nuestra ciudad, no venir a hacer más, a construir más cosas que van a ponernos en una cápsula.
We need to restructure our community, not bring more items that may put us in a capsule.
Necesitamos trabajar en proyectos que realmente trabajen en los valores de nuestra comunidad. Como ese edificio es histórico, ¿qué vamos a dejarle a nuestra juventud, a nuestros niños?
We need to work on projects that really value our community. That red building, I mean, it's historical for our children.
Aparte de la plaza de la que está hablando Councilmember Rubio, de verdad, yo estaba pensando que todavía estaban trabajando en ese proyecto. Es muy importante para las personas de la tercera edad. Es una conexión de generaciones. No es solamente para identificar un grupo de jóvenes o un grupo de gente adulta. Es para hacer esa conexión de arte, de esparcimiento familiar y un espacio abierto para nuestra comunidad.
Besides the plaza Ms. Rubio was talking about, I thought it was something that it was still being discussed and working on. This plaza, it's actually a connection between the seniors and our younger children.
Esta plaza representa, siendo honesta, cuando presentaron el proyecto de cerrar la calle y continuar este proyecto abriendo esta plaza, no me pareció muy adecuado cerrar una vialidad por la cuestión de tráfico.
To be honest, at first the project of closing up the street and just it would create a problem. I wasn't too pleased with that.
Pero en el proceso de enseñarnos cómo iba a ser el proyecto, en el tiempo que fueron haciendo un enamoramiento de lo que podía ser este lugar para nuestra comunidad.
But as they explained the process, it was a process, and we fell in love with the way they were explaining on how the process was going to work.
He caminado mucho por la ciudad de Baldwin Park. Hay muchos terrenos que usar, donde se pueden construir viviendas para nuestras familias. Yo sé que pueden hacer un proyecto muy lindo. Tienen la inteligencia suficiente, tienen el personal adecuado, tienen las compañías adecuadas, pueden trabajar en un buen proyecto para el centro de nuestra ciudad, pero no poniendo más viviendas y haciendo el tráfico más difícil para el centro de nuestra ciudad.
I have walked through all of Baldwin Park, and there is a lot of open space, a lot of areas where you can build up, and I'm sure you can create a lot of beautiful projects there. But I don't think that you should look into building and creating more of a traffic problem and creating more of a living space problem.
Gracias, ojalá que puedan tener la sabiduría y el discernimiento para entender que ustedes son los responsables de mantener nuestra historia y nuestra ciudad.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you understand that you are responsible for maintaining our history here in our community, in our city.
No tomen una decisión todavía, es
You're
algo
3
que
minutes,
concierne
you're up.
a toda la comunidad.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving along with the...
Don't make a decision yet. It's something that affects our whole community.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on with the public.
That plaza thing that Mrs. Rubio was talking about, I thought that we were already working on it. I was in those meetings that we had, the community was happy about it and everything. The Rome project, it was voted in and everything. That was going to be part of that plaza where you're going to have coffee, donuts, or whatever. King Taco was going to open their backside and everything. We have other areas in Baldwin Park that they can go build some more apartments or condos or whatever. There's a place right here on Pacific between Big Dalton and Puente on the left-hand side going to West Covina. What is it, 5-6 acres? Why don't we build right there? You know, I think the gentleman that owns that land was going to build something in there. Somebody stopped. Somebody doesn't want somebody to build right there. Yeah. But other than that, you know, it's something that you got to look at your heart and look at your minds. Like the Pope said today, let corruption aside. Look at the people. Look at your heart. Okay? Let's put that plaza back on. You know, it's something that, to me, it was good.
All right, moving on with the public comment. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Joanna Valenzuela, Planning Commissioner of the City of Baldwin Park and a lifelong resident of the City of Baldwin Park. I'm just here to plead you to please really consider saving the red building. That's one of the buildings I have always been very attracted to. It's a very important building, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the only 2 buildings left in the entire country. So please really consider that. And also for the developer that might be looking into building onto across the street here on Pacific, please really consider all the children that walk through this area all the time. We have 2 schools that are down the street, Violin Central, and then of course Baldwin Park High School, and many kids walk through here all the time. Thank you.
Greg Tuttle, business owner. I have a business over here right by where one of the developments is. This just brings back Bisno days all over again. You guys just don't learn. Cram them in here. But you got shut down. We will bring Kara with a group of people back in here, and we will fight this development. And I think the guy better do a little history lesson on how successful we were of calming down the council members on this project. You have people that park over here in this transit parking. You have trees that are over 100 years old, and I think you developed a tree plan on taking out trees, and there'd be restrictions on it, on top of what the red brick building is. You guys have forgot about that, but look it up. What you need to find out, what are you going to do with all the cars that's in the transit parking now? You think they're going to go over to the transit parking area here when you got Rome filled and you got all the city employees here? They're going to park on side streets. They're going to be on my street. I've had an agreement with the bus company there that they stay out from in front of my building. We don't have any parking. And you're sitting there wanting to add another 20, 30 units in here, and then you're going to have cars parking on the street like the Woods had. They had to get parking permits to finally get things from years ago. This is an industrial section. I do know that your friends at Royal Coaches bought a piece of property there, the barber shop, and built a parking lot there. They bought that on speculation that you guys would develop that with DC Corp, but that fell through. And they got inside information on that. Now then, we're going to bring in this guy. He didn't, he needs to go ask Montebello Housing why that didn't happen. I guess they didn't give enough money. But what we need to find out is you're going to put it over here too. You're going to block this street off and cause nothing but congestion. We're already congested. It isn't going to bring more retail. You guys fought the Superior grocery stores for coming in. You didn't know good business sense till we had to tell you that unless an anchor store comes in, that shopping center won't be full. You destroyed all the businesses in there once, but you won't destroy them again because they've got a strong anchor store in there now. But the retail's there. What's there is there. Now you don't even know what Rome's going to cause, and now you're ready to add another 70 homes here and then 20, 30 over here. You guys don't have any vision. I don't understand. I think you guys need to go to school because you need to understand that the people here count, the businesses count, and you're going to put a development, a housing right in a strong industrial section that we are very limited on parking, and you're going to allow that in there, and they're going to be parking cars in our street, and we're going to be calling code enforcement up, and we're going to have to put in green curb or whatever, or parking permits, and we can't even operate our businesses out of there. And you got a tow company right across the street from there that's day and night running trucks in and out of there. And you're right next to a train station. And the cars that are parking there now, you know where they're going to go? Down by Mr. Wood's shop, Downey.
Mr. Tuttle.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Thank you.
Well, first of all, anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. Let me just make it very clear. The actual red brick building is not part of the project, and that's not negotiable, just to let everyone know. But unfortunately, because specific individuals here that are part of campaign or part of the little issue want to hang on to something, so that's not negotiable. The red brick building is not going to be knocked down, nor is anything going to be built besides it unless it's going to be fully restored. So I want to make that very clear. Because again, we have the political parties that are here supporting the two that are up here, so they got to do their little charade, and that's just the reality of that.
Excuse
so
me,
that just
Mayor.
Could make it clear.
Excuse me,
But,
Mayor.
Excuse me. Let me just finish. I'm not finished. So at this point, I just want to make it clear, and unless anyone else has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and make the motion for this. But go ahead.
And I'll second.
Okay, all right, Madam City. At this point,
Mayor,
yes.
And I have to take objection. You know, when these residents come and speak, and I know that maybe there's animosity with some business owners, but, you know, we heard from residents, we heard from Ms. Margarita Vargas, who's been a staple in this community for years. We can't dismiss them as political, you know, cronies or trying to come up here for political reasons. They own homes here. They live here. They have grandkids here. And when Ms. Vargas says things like, you know, I want to see myself walking in the park, you know, we need to take these comments seriously, and adding things like this is political. It's really dismissing the importance of what our residents are saying. I think that was just inappropriate. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, but I will reiterate. We have to consider that Ms. Vargas is an outstanding citizen here in our community. She's a member of the Water Board. Her son was the youngest mayor of the city of Baldwin Park. Her children are on school board, on the part of the school board. I mean, these are people that get up because they love and are passionate, like myself, about our community. It's not because I'm grandstanding. It's not because this is not a political year. So what difference does it make? I believe and I think that we are entitled to view our opinion of how we feel about our community. I am concerned about the congestion around my neighborhood, which is Alderson, Downing, and Clark. I can barely drive down my street as it is. So I know that that's where they're going to park. But right now, I think we just need to move forward, let all the emotions get out of the way, and let's try to make the decision that's best for our community. Thank
Right.
you.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, there is a motion that was second, and there are objections. So, Madam, who's
Yeah,
here?
so the motion is as consent calendar to approve
Yes,
SA
that is
16,
correct.
SA 17, for E and A.
For E&A.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor Lozano?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Monica Garcia?
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz Baca?
No.
Councilmember Rubio?
No.
Councilmember Pacheco?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes 3-2. So that's for the E&A. Of course, a lot of work ahead for the potential developing of this particular parcel. Thank you very
Mayor,
much.
if I can just,
Sure.
add, I don't know if it was stated earlier, but an E&A is basically a time that's given so that the developer can explore a project and then come back to us and present, what that project would look like, what it would, the elements of it. And so there will be a process. We're not approving a project tonight. So stay tuned. Thank you.
All right. Okay, real
Yes,
quick.
and one more thing. I would really like to get together, please. Matt is his name?
Yeah.
Matt? I would really, you never reached out to me, and I would really like to be able to meet with you in regards to these projects. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I ask that of everyone.
Yeah.
So it's not just you in particular, so. Thank you.
Mayor, just briefly, I want to thank everybody that came today. This is a great dialogue. I know there's a lot of difference of opinions, but this is an E&A process. You continue coming to the E&A and give your input, and let's make this a successful project. Más quiero decir a todos que me da mucho gusto que vinieron todos a esta junta hoy para ver el proyecto que vamos a tener aquí en la ciudad y para que todos están incluidos en el proceso y podamos escuchar todos los que ustedes...
No, excuse me, do not interrupt.
Okay, then. All right, thank you.
Lord, okay.
And excuse me, I just want to say one thing, please. I just want to say thank you so very much for those that are here. Even though you were, in a sense, you were criticized for some of your comments and you were accused of it being a political move, please do not get discouraged. Please continue coming to whatever meetings they are. Our community is very important to us. I'm very passionate about what happens to our community. So please, don't get discouraged. Please continue coming. We need you here. Thank
All
you.
right, so at this point, I'm going to go over to the council communication, and what I wrote here was requesting the direction to provide staff to collaborate with the Ballpark Unified School District to consider opening all schools on Saturdays and Sundays as green space. Now, just to let everyone know, there's a total of 21 schools in Baldwin Park. Every one of those could be converted into a park Saturday and Sunday if we set specific types of policy and the usage, and I think it would work wonder. Now, they do have some of those schools that are open, and I think that we should expand them all. There is literally, that is major green space throughout the community, and the utilization of those in the weekend, I think, would be phenomenal. Now, we're taxpayers, each and every one of us that are here or that reside in Baldwin Park, so we have a right to be able to ask the school board members, and I went there to mention that publicly, that we dialogue to see what we can do to open up all the schools. I think it'd be a phenomenal opportunity for us to really showcase ourselves in Baldwin Park. So at this point, if we could send a letter to begin some type of dialogue, whether it be all the members here together talking, and I think that would be an opportunity for us to be able to begin that, because that's
Mayor,
very important.
If
Yes.
I can add to that, here in the city, we've been working on healthy eating, active community
Yes.
initiatives, safe routes to school, complete streets, and we've been trying to encourage our residents to be more active, to get out and walk, to get out and exercise. And I think that by fencing off, these really prime, areas, I think that it is a disservice to our community. There should be an opportunity for joint use, and I agree that there should be a plan, and that there should be criteria, and it can't just be willy-nilly. But because the city has made such strides that have even been recognized at the national level by Michelle Obama, the First Lady, and so I think it would be very complimentary, if the school district would open its areas, its fields, and again with a plan and in collaboration with the city. Why do we need to be at odds on this? This seems like a no-brainer to me. It's for the community, and as has been stated several times tonight, the residents pay for the beautiful schools. There have been bonds. Residents here in Baldwin Park pay a premium so that we can have these beautiful schools, and so why not utilize them and really maximize the opportunities for more recreation? Thank you.
Mayor,
Thank you.
I would
Thank you.
like to
Yes.
make a comment. I don't think anybody is at odds, but we do not have control over the school district. And I keep hearing over and over, we're taxpayer, we pay for the schools, but we have to realize that we also have taxpayers that pay for the gym, they pay for the pool. Why don't we open it up for free? You see what I'm saying? Why don't we provide it 24/7 for our community for free? I mean, they're taxpayers. They also pay for the pool. They pay for the gym. We've had people. I remember at one point this lady came when we were going to close the pool, and she had, I think it was a deaf son, and she came and protested because we closed the pools down, because there is a cost associated to that. And we cannot know, because we don't handle their budget, what their cost is in terms of insurance and all that. And I'm not opposing it, but I think that's a discussion that they should have with the school district. I think we need to make the decisions on properties that we handle and things that affect us. And again, if you're going to say they're taxpayers, and I support that, just for the record, I support that open space. I do. But we can't be saying, they should open it, we're taxpayers, and why don't we open all our facilities for free as well? Taxpayers pay for it. But again, we as council members recognize we have to pay for staff, we have to pay for insurance. I mean, there's just a lot of associated costs. We can't just demand that they open it. But I am in favor of opening a discussion and a dialogue, but we can't just tell them what to do. It doesn't work that way. We wouldn't want them telling us, open the pool, open the park, the gym, which has been such a heated argument with the residents. Again, we can't tell them what to do. We can have that dialogue, but we can't say we're taxpayers, they should open it, because they can make the same argument about our facilities.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
I know some of the council members seem to be contradicting themselves, but I'm for working with the school district to open up the green space. I know Councilwoman Rubio at a certain point was in support of a school district joint effort on a project that we worked together with our Parks and Recreation and the school district to get a grant to be able to open up certain schools and have playground equipment there and make it a park. And that's what we're looking at. This is done, these partnerships are done between cities and school districts throughout the country, throughout the state of California. It's very innovative, and it allows areas that we cannot have parks, that we share the playground equipment, we share the facilities. So in the daytime, the kids can use that facilities and those playground equipment. And in the evening, for a few hours, we open it up to the public. It's done in Santa Barbara, it's done in Sacramento, just almost all the major cities do it. And I think Baldwin Park needs to sit down with the school district and have a discussion on how we could create that partnership. Last year, I worked with the school board, the water board, and other agencies in our collaborative committee to be able to have a joint effort to open up a job center. And in the same collaboration, I think we should work with the school district to be able to work together to have one of the 23, I'm sorry, Mayor, how many 21 schools where we could identify some of the schools and be able to work together, to work jointly, and share some of the costs and being able to do that. And I think all the council members here would support that in working collaboratively. I mean, I think they are, to be able to make sure that we can, in areas that there's no park, be able to open up. I have a 4.5-year-old son, and, I would sure like to be able to go to parks that are close to us. I live by Central Elementary. If that was opened up as a park, I could just walk down there and go there. So there's different areas in the city that parks are far away. Where I live, the parks are pretty distance from me. It's not a walking distance. But if we were able to open up different areas and just make them walkable, where people could just walk down there and have a park to go to, I think that would be fantastic. And I think the community, we as leaders of this community, owe it to the residents to work together to share the resources that we have for the benefit of our residents. And with that, there are individuals up there that will come here and speak and want to divide this community. They'll say things to split them up. They will just make up information and twist things around just to make it sound as if there's some evil demonic things going on. Everything we do is open. All the information you want is on the internet. There's working together and being able to move forward. And so I invite school board, water board members, and the city council. Let's work together as leaders and let's move this city forward. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right,
Mayor, I just need to clarify. I hope everyone heard me say I support the mayor's proposal and Ricardo's proposal. It was not about not supporting it. My comment was we cannot be demanding that they do something based on us being taxpayers, because I said they can make the same argument about us. I did support it. I'm just saying that they can say, why don't we do the same exact thing? We can lead by example. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, so at this point, the state of the city, I'm going to go ahead and we're cancel and then just let's have the annual Easter egg hunt for all the kids as well, because we haven't had that in quite some time. So that's the only thing I wanted to discuss at this point. I'm going to move for adjournment of the city council. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Any objections? See none, so move. At this point, I'd like to open up the Finance Authority regular meeting. So we have actually. Okay, we have consent calendar, and I'll go ahead and move for approval.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. At this point, I'd like to move for adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. All right, at this point, I'd like to open up the Housing Authority, and we have consent calendar, and that's my motion.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. At this point, I'd like to move for adjournment.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. Good evening, Viva Baldwin Park. We have a real quick the closed session real quick, okay.
I thought we were done.
Oh,
Oh, I thought we were going to bring it back. Do we need to deal with it now?
thank you.
No, Shannon wants direction.
Let me see it.